Chapter 1. Bang! A rusty iron gate was opened, and the echoes of the iron gate were blocked by the surrounding ancient buildings, lingering in the air. After a dozen breaths, a young man with a drooping head was dragged out by two jailers by the arms, from the iron gate. This young man with a drooping head seemed to not be breathing, even his arms were so thin that only bones remained. From the blood-stained tattered clothes on his body, it could be seen what kind of devastation and torture this young man had suffered. Bang! This thin man was thrown to the ground by the two jailers, splashing some dust, and then there was no more movement. This kid should be dead, right? A short and stout jailer stared at the motionless young man on the ground and asked. The other jailer grunted, he should be dead, who let him be so reckless, even daring to be rude to Miss Jian. Now, not only was the Ning mansion destroyed, he is also free, he deserves it. Old, be careful with your words, let's first drag him out and deal with him. The short and stout jailer quickly warned. Hearing the words of the short and stout jailer, the other jailer involuntarily shrunk his head, and was about to pull up the breathless man on the ground, preparing to drag him away. At this time, a somewhat weak voice called out from the side, "Two big brothers, I want to take my husband away." The two jailers saw a woman wearing coarse hemp clothes standing to the side. Although this woman was wearing coarse hemp clothes, they could still vaguely see her extraordinary charm. The only regret was that her face was disfigured, covered by her slightly messy hair, making people not want to look at her a second time. The two jailers recognized who this woman was. She was one of the two survivors of the Ning clan. The entire Ning clan was raided. The only survivors were the old housekeeper of the Ning clan, Ning Gao, and this woman. Ning Gao was the housekeeper of the Ning mansion. When the Ning mansion was raided, he left the Chongqing province to take care of something, so he escaped. This woman was the daughter-in-law of the Ning mansion, and also the wife of the thin man who was just thrown out of the prison, called Ji Luofei. Because she stayed in the Chongqing two-star academy, she escaped a calamity. Of course, this was also because Ji Luofei and the Ning clan did not have much connection. The reason why she married into the Ning clan was because the Ning clan and the Ji clan were old friends. However, the Ji clan declined in the most inexplicable way, leaving behind only a disfigured Ji Luofei. Even so, Ning Cheng's grandfather, Ning Hongchang, still accepted Ji Luofei into his mansion. He was ready to wait for Ning Cheng to reach the Qi gathering realm, and then let the two of them get married. Unfortunately, Ning Cheng's aptitude was extremely poor. For many years he was not able to gather qi. Not only that, he even scolded and beat the disfigured Ji Luofei. Fortunately, Ji Luofei, as a homeless daughter-in-law, had always been meek and never said anything. When she returned from the academy and learned that the Ning family had been destroyed, the first thing she did was come to the prison. Originally she wanted to ask if Ning Cheng could come out, but she did not think that Ning Cheng would not be breathing, and was thrown out of the prison by the jailers. Ji Luofei saw the expressions of the two jailers. Not waiting for the two jailers to speak, she took out a dozen silver coins and handed them over. "Two elder brothers, my husband has already passed away. Okay, drag him away, leaving him here is ugly." The short and stout jailer put away the silver coins and impatiently waved his hand. They originally wanted to dispose of Ning Cheng's body, but they did not think that someone would come to dispose of it, and even give them silver coins. This kind of good thing, they certainly would not refuse. When Ji Luofei heard these words, she quickly carried Ning Cheng on her back, sped up, and soon disappeared from the entrance of the prison. If this Ji Luofei was not disfigured, she would have been a beauty. Looking at Ji Luofei's back, the other jailer tossed the silver coins in his hand, and said in a judgmental tone. "Don't talk nonsense, that Ji Luofei is also a person from the Chongqing two-star academy. Even if she is ugly, it would not be our turn." The short and stout jailer patted the shoulder of the jailer who spoke, and once again pulled him through the iron gate. With another loud bang, the iron gate once again closed. Ning Shaoqing smelled a very pleasant fragrance. He opened his eyes and the first thing he saw was a white neck. The next moment, Ning Xiaoqing reacted. He was carried by a woman, and the fragrance was coming from the woman who was carrying him. That's not right. He remembered that after being rejected by Tian Mu Wan, he was in a very bad mood, and ended up going the wrong way, and ended up on the high road. Then a yellow light came from the horizon and struck him, and then, there was no then. Could it be that he was not dead? What the hell is going on? Ning Xiaoqing had just thought of this, when a variety of information flooded into his mind. He had unexpectedly been reborn. What made Ning Xiaoqing horrified was that his reborn body was originally called Ning Cheng. The reason why he was horrified was because his original name was also Ning Cheng. It was only because he often had a nightmare, that is, he saw himself in a very strange place, and was plotted against and imprisoned, and then tortured to death. Although it was only a dream, but Ning Cheng still changed his name to Ning Xiaoqing. He did not think that after going around, he would still be called Ning Cheng, and was really reborn in the environment of his dream. Ning Xiaoqing wanted to raise his hand to wipe the cold sweat off his forehead, but the woman carrying him looked back, and did not say anything. "I'm sorry, I don't have the strength to walk." Seeing the woman looking back at him, Ning Xiaoqing said apologetically. Being carried by a woman, he really felt somewhat uncomfortable. "The Ning clan is already gone, you are already very lucky to be alive." The woman's tone was calm. It seemed that even if Ning Xiaoqing really died, she would still have this calm attitude. Ning Xiaoqing was silent. He had just sorted out some of the fragmented information. He should now be called Ning Cheng, the only son of the Chongqing province's Ning clan. If he was called Ning Cheng, then so be it. In any case, he was originally called Ning Cheng. The Ning clan was a medium-level aristocratic family in the Chongqing province, but the population was small. Ning Cheng's parents went to the Mingat Sea area to look for spiritual objects when Ning Cheng was very young, and never came back. Ning Cheng had been living with his grandfather Ning Hongchang in the Chongqing province's Zhanglu city. Although the Ning mansion was big, there were not many people. Ning Cheng, of course, became the number one person in the Ning mansion, but Ning Hongchang never cared about Ning Cheng. All the bad things that Ning Cheng did in the Zhanglu city were shouldered by Ning Hongchang. The Zhanglu city was filled with the relatives of the nobles, although Ning Hongchang was also a veteran of the Chongqing province, but compared to the relatives of the nobles, he was still a bit worse. Finally, one day, Ning Cheng stirred up a mess that even he could not afford to bear. He actually offended the Chongqing province's Jian Sujia, not to mention the Jian clan. The Ning clan could not afford to offend Jian Sujia's fiancé Qiu Yingguang. The Ning clan could not afford to offend him. Ning Cheng thought of this, and sighed. He could not afford to offend him, and the result was that he was put in prison. His grandfather Ning Hongchang, in order to bail him out, exhausted all his connections and wealth, but in the end he was not bailed out. Instead, the entire Ning clan was thrown into the mess. This news was learned by his predecessor from the jailer's mouth. It can be said that the Ning clan was destroyed because of him. After Ning Cheng sorted out these things, he once again sighed in his heart. There was no such thing as reason in this world. Whoever's fist was bigger, who was the reason. At the same time, he also understood who the person carrying him on her back was. This disfigured woman was his fiancée, called Ji Luofei, somewhat similar to the child bride back on earth. The Ji clan was a foreign resident of the Chongqing province. Because Ji Luofei's grandfather and Ning Cheng's grandfather had a good relationship, the two of them helped Ning Cheng and Ji Luofei settle the marriage. Later, the Ji clan inexplicably declined, leaving behind only the disfigured Ji Luofei. But Ning Cheng's grandfather Ning Hongchang still brought Ji Luofei to the Ning clan, ready to help the two of them get married after Ning Cheng reached the Qi gathering realm. Ning Hongchang indulged Ning Cheng in other matters, but in the matter of marrying Ji Luofei as his wife, he would never give in. The original Ning Cheng was very dissatisfied with the disfigured Ji Luofei. He often beat and scolded her, but fortunately, Ji Luofei was meek, and never refuted Ning Cheng. Moreover, Ji Luofei and Ning Cheng were different. she had the qualifications to cultivate. Not only that, but with the help of the Ning clan, she entered the Tsangqin 2-star Academy, and was already a cultivator at the Qi-gathering 3rd level. In the Tsangqin province, as long as one could cultivate, they would be called a cultivator. Once a cultivator cultivated to the Qi-gathering 4th level, their status would rise in a straight line. At this time, Ji Luofei had already carried him into a very low black stone house. Although the black stone house was low, but the area was not very small, at least it had everything that should be there. There was even a small courtyard. In the courtyard there was a deep well. How was the Ning clan destroyed? Ning Qing suddenly asked again. Even if it was related to himself, Ning Qing had to clarify this matter. Although he guessed that it was the work of the Jian clan and the Qiu clan, but he still had to clarify this matter. You did it yourself, why bother asking me? Ji Luofei gave a simple reply, before putting Ning Qing down. Saying that she poured a cup of water for Ning Qing, and then said, I'll go boil some water for you to take a bath. There are some things that you should forget, it would not be good for you to know. Ning Qing looked at Ji Luofei as she went in to boil the water, and did not continue to ask. He understood the meaning of Ji Luofei's words. With his ability, the more he knew, the faster he would die. Even if he did not know anything, in this place, whether he could survive or not was another matter. He did not know if Ji Luofei had added something to the cup of water, but Ning Qing felt that after drinking this cup of water, his whole body recovered some of its strength. Ning Qing sat on the old wooden couch, his mind was thinking about his current situation, and then thinking about his younger sister Ning Ruolan. At the same time, he really did not understand why Tianmu Wan treated him like that. According to his understanding of Tianmu Wan was definitely not a snobbish girl. Chapter 2. The water is ready, I'll help you take a bath. When Ning Qing had sorted out some things, Ji Luofei once again came out and said. Although Ning Qing and Tianmu Wan had been in love for 2 or 3 years, but at most it was limited to holding hands. Other than that, he did not take any further actions. Now that Ji Luofei wanted to help him take a bath, Ning Qing immediately felt unnatural. He was sure that Ning Qing did not let Ji Luofei take a bath before, not because he had the same idea as him, but because of Ji Luofei's appearance. I'll do it myself. Ning Qing quickly said. Perceiving Ji Luofei's puzzled eyes, Ning Qing quickly climbed up from the couch, and reluctantly held onto the edge of the bed and said, You see, I can now walk on my own. Although he was tortured in the prison for a period of time, but after coming back and drinking a little water, Ning Qing was barely able to move. Seeing Ning Qing stagger into the bathroom to take a bath, Ji Luofei became even more puzzled. In her impression, Ning Qing would never refuse other people to serve him. For Ning Qing, if he did not serve them well, he would definitely not say that he could do it himself. Could it be that Ning Qing knew that his family was ruined, so he understood a lot more than before? However, these doubts were quickly put aside by Ji Luofei, and no longer cared about Ning Qing taking a bath. She went to cook some porridge. Ning Qing had been cultivating for so many years but was still unable to gather qi. This was certainly because he was not willing to endure the hardship of cultivation, but it was also because of his poor qualifications. Now that the Ning clan was ruined, even if Ning Qing did not die in prison, Ji Luofei could already predict his miserable fate in the future. Although she was Ning Qing's nominal wife, but they were not married, moreover she was already at the Qi-gathering 3rd level. Once she advanced to the Qi-gathering 4th level, she would be heavily cultivated by the academy. Even if she did not give up on Ning Qing, the academy would not allow her to be with Ning Qing. As a cultivator at the Qi-gathering 4th level, if she continued to be with Ning Qing's current situation, it would not help Ning Qing, but would rather make Ning Qing die faster. Regarding not being with Ning Qing, Ji Luofei did not have any conflict. Ning Qing was very bad to her, he would beat her and scold her, and never looked at her. The reason why she saved Ning Qing, and even took care of Ning Qing with all her heart, was because she owed the Ning clan. In Ji Luofei's view, Ning Cheng could not cultivate and was in such dire straits. If she did not save Ning Cheng, then Ning Cheng could only wait for death. She knew that she would not continue to marry Ning Cheng, but she also would not marry anyone else. The reason why she offered to help Ning Cheng take a bath was because she was Ning Cheng's fiancée, and also because she was the only one who could help Ning Cheng at this moment. Since Ning Cheng could act on his own, then she certainly would not help him. What she could do for Ning Cheng now, was to help Ning Cheng establish a comfortable living environment before she advanced to the Qi gathering 4th level. With her cultivation qualifications, even if her appearance was ruined, in the future, she would still have to leave the Chongqing province. Ning Cheng would only be a passerby in her life. After Ning Cheng finished his bath, although he felt a bit exhausted, but it was actually a bit better than before. By the time he came out, Ji Luofei had already finished cooking the porridge. After eating some rice porridge, Ning Cheng finally recovered some of his complexion and strength. "These are for you. I'm going to the academy now. You can act now, you can eat your own food." Ji Luofei saw that after Ning Cheng ate some food, other than feeling a bit weak, he really did not have any major problems, so she took out a bag of silver coins and handed it to Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng did not take the silver coins from Ji Luofei, he knew the meaning of Ji Luofei's words. Ji Luofei had been cultivating in the Chongqing 2-star academy, moreover she was a good disciple of the academy. But he remembered that he was also a student of the academy, and immediately said, "If you go to the academy, then of course I will also go." Ji Luofei suddenly stared at Ning Cheng with some surprise. Ning Cheng had always been pressured by his grandfather to go to the academy. Now that the Ning clan was equivalent to dying out, he also did not have any constraints. How could he still think about going to the academy? Besides, with his qualifications, even if he went to the academy, he should not be able to learn anything, right? Ning Cheng looked at Ji Luofei's expression, and knew that his words were somewhat hasty. He just thought in his heart, in this place, if he did not have the strength, then he estimated that he would not be able to live for long. So when Ji Luofei said that she wanted to go to the academy, he immediately wanted to go together. But he had forgotten that he had never wanted to go to the academy before, moreover he did not have the qualifications, so going to the academy would not have any meaning. I was afraid that my grandfather would scold me, but I just remembered that my grandfather is no longer here. Ning Cheng spoke in a sad voice, as he thought of the heartless Tian Mu Wan. This kind of sadness did not need to be feigned, as it naturally flowed out. When Ji Luofei heard Ning Cheng speak about her grandfather, her eyes also turned red. If not for Ning Cheng's grandfather, then she, Ji Luofei, would not have existed. Now that Ning Cheng once again spoke about his grandfather, Ji Luofei was also infected. She stuffed the silver coins in her hands into Ning Cheng's hands and said, "You now need to recuperate your body. I will try to find time to come back to see you, when your body is better. If you still want to go to the academy, then I will take you there." Saying that, Ji Luofei turned around and walked out of the stone house, and soon disappeared. Ning Cheng looked at the silver coins in his hands, and then looked at the low dark stone house. He immediately understood that Ji Luofei was not very well off. In the future, if he wanted to live in this place, he absolutely could not rely on Ji Luofei. At this time, Ning Cheng was not the same Ning Cheng from before. He could feel the hardships of surviving in this place. This was a world where the strong preyed on the weak. Not to mention that it was difficult to survive without strength, or that they could only survive under the feet of others. Even if the Ning clan had such strength, they would still be directly destroyed in one night. He was very clear that once Ji Luofei advanced to the Qi gathering 4th level, she would leave him. Not to mention that the two of them were not married, even if they were married. A cultivator at the Qi gathering 4th level, even in the Chongqing province, would be the focus of their cultivation. They absolutely would not allow a waste like him to stay by their side. Unless he also cultivated to the Qi gathering 4th level, but although he had the Ning clan's cultivation method, but he did not have the qualifications. Even after cultivating for so many years, he still had no way to gather qi, not to mention reaching the qi-gathering 4th level. Even if he could not cultivate, he had to find a way to survive. Ning Qing secretly made up his mind, and at the same time sighed. Unfortunately, he could not cultivate. If he could cultivate, on this planet, maybe one day he would be able to cultivate to the essence-building realm, and then find a way to return to Earth. Ning Qing could not cultivate, but it did not mean that he did not know about some of the realms of cultivation. He knew that there were 9 big realms, and 81 small realms. But the highest realm that he could understand was the essence-building realm. In his memory, that Songqing province once had an expert in the essence-building realm. Ning Qing only understood the first 3 realms of cultivation: qi-gathering realm, true condensation realm and essence-building realm. The qi-gathering realm was to gather qi in the meridians. According to the amount of qi gathered, it was divided into 9 levels. Ji Luofei was now at the qi-gathering 3rd level, the qi-gathering 4th level, and the qi-gathering 3rd level was a watershed. Don't look at the Songqing 2-star Academy's qi-gathering 3rd level, but the qi-gathering 4th level was rapidly decreasing. When a cultivator's qi reached a certain level, they would advance to the true condensation realm. At this time their qi would begin to transform into true essence. The true condensation realm was also divided into 9 levels. The more vigorous the true essence, the more exquisite the cultivation. The Songqing 2-star Academy's dean and deputy dean were cultivators in the true condensation realm. Their strength in the Songqing province was incomparably strong. As for the essence-building realm, the Songqing province currently did not have any. Ning Qing came from Earth, and had heard all kinds of cultivation legends. Moreover, there were people on Earth who could cultivate internal qi, so the fact that the Yixing mainland could cultivate, Ning Qing was not surprised. Of course, this was also because he had not yet understood that the later stages of cultivation would be beyond his imagination. Ning Qing knew that his qualifications were extremely poor, and could not cultivate. Moreover, his body was not that good. Even if he could recall some of the Ning clan's cultivation methods, he did not think of cultivating. To survive here, the first element was to take good care of his body. After Ji Luofei returned to the academy, there was no news of her. Ning Qing also never went out. In addition to resting in the stone house, he would exercise his body in the front yard of the stone house. A few days later, although Ning Qing still looked a little thin, but he had slowly recovered his qi. At least, he did not feel weak. Ning Qing felt that he could go out and have a look. At the very least, he had to understand the environment of the Songqing province's capital city. If he wanted to survive here in the future, what could he do? Chapter 3. The Songqing province's Zhangluo city was very prosperous. Ning Qing had a lot of memories of Zhangluo city, but for Ning Qing, this was the first time he really walked into Zhangluo city. Zhangluo city gave Ning Qing a feeling of vicissitudes in its prosperity. It was like an old man whose strength was slowly fading, somewhat staggering. The streets of Zhangluo city crisscrossed. Each spacious main street had many small streets on both sides, intertwining with each other, just like a spider web. On both sides of the street, there were a variety of shops, many of which sold things Ning Qing had never heard of before, let alone seen them. Most of the shops sold and purchased all kinds of fierce beast materials, low-level spiritual grasses, and even some weapons. Some of the more upscale shops sold magic tools and elixirs. As for the hotels, ordinary clothing shops and some brothels, there were countless of them. Zhangluo city had a variety of buildings. Not only were there loft buildings, but there were also similar Western castle buildings. These buildings were mixed together, making the entire Zhangluo city look somewhat nondescript. Ning Qing stood in front of a shop selling ordinary weapons and looked around. He saw a very ordinary long knife being sold for a gold coin. But all of the assets that Ji Luofei gave him added up to 50 silver coins. 100 silver coins could be exchanged for 1 gold coin. In other words, all of his assets added up. He could only buy half of this ordinary long blade. As for the shops that sold artifacts and pills, Ning Qing did not go in to look. He knew that there were very few shops that accepted gold coins, most of the shops accepted qi gathering stones. A piece of qi gathering stone could be exchanged for 100 gold coins, even if the Ning clan still existed. Qi gathering stones for the Ning clan were still a luxury. Some hunters with a variety of weapons were mixed in the crowd, walking on the streets. These people generally had a faint smell of blood on their bodies. It was obvious that they had returned from killing all year round. Although this kind of people looked very fierce, but they were the most popular in Sanglo City. Because they were very generous, and rarely haggled. This kind of people lived a precarious life, except for some people who had the qualifications to cultivate. Most of the hunters lived a life of intoxication. The gold coins and money they obtained were used to enjoy life. Not only did they go in and out of some prosperous hotels, but they also spent the gold coins in the brothels of Tsanglo City. Just as Ning Cheng was sighing at the prosperity of the Tsanglo City, a sharp scream came from the end of the street. A young man dressed in white rode a white unicorn, whistling as he rushed over from afar. From afar, it looked like a white shadow of lightning. The people on the street dodged to the sides, and some who couldn't dodge in time were sent flying by this white unicorn. This mass of white shadow arrived in front of Ning Cheng in just a blink of an eye. Ning Cheng's reaction had always been very agile. At this time his body had already started to slowly recover. Almost the moment he saw this white shadow, he immediately reacted. Just as Ning Cheng was about to retreat, he saw a panic-stricken little boy still standing in the middle of the street. At this moment, those with quick reactions had already retreated, while those with slow reactions had also begun to retreat. This little boy clearly could not escape the charging unicorn. Ning Cheng quickly grabbed the little boy and pulled him to the edge of the street. Just as Ning Cheng was about to make way for the little boy, the white unicorn whistled past Ning Cheng's side, bringing with it a gust of wind that made Ning Cheng's eyes ache. Seeing that the little boy was safe and sound, Ning Cheng breathed a sigh of relief. He was still thinking about what kind of wild beast this unicorn was, but it was very likely that it was out of control, and suddenly started running on the street. At this time, the unicorn that was running crazily in front of him suddenly stopped. Not only that, but the unicorn also turned around and unexpectedly walked in front of Ning Cheng. "You dare to spoil my mood, you're courting death." The white-robed man sitting on the back of the unicorn spoke as he lashed out a whip towards Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng immediately wanted to dodge, but he immediately discovered that he simply could not dodge this whip. The whip had already brought with it an invisible force, which suppressed him, or rather he simply had no time to dodge it. Ning Cheng's heart sank, not waiting for him to think of the next question. A force had already lifted him up. The next moment, the whip passed in front of his eyes, and even his clothes were lifted up. Someone had saved him, Ning Cheng immediately understood. At the same time, he also knew that this white unicorn running on the street was simply intentional. The owner of this unicorn actually took pleasure in bumping into people, and him taking the little boy away seemed to make the other party lose the pleasure of bumping into people. After Ning Cheng instantly understood this, his heart sank even more. This was not Earth. This seemingly completely unreasonable thing, unexpectedly happened in broad daylight. He had saved a little boy, but it was equivalent to offending the white-robed man who was looking for pleasure. The white-robed man on the unicorn, on seeing Ning Cheng also being taken away, suddenly became even more angry. But when he saw the person who had saved Ning Cheng, his anger immediately subsided. Even his tone became gentle and polite as he spoke. "So it was Su Jia, this is just a lowly person." As the white-robed man on the unicorn spoke, he immediately jumped down from the unicorn. "Xian Yuan Kuei, I don't have such a good relationship with you. Moreover, whether I save a lowly person or not has nothing to do with you." A crisp and cold female voice sounded, while at the same time a young girl wearing a pink dress appeared in front of Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng immediately knew that it was this young girl who had saved him. But Ning Cheng did not come forward to thank her. He knew this woman. She was called Jian Su Jia, and can be said to be the enemy of his Ning clan. The Ning clan was destroyed because of her. Looking at the pretty and cold face in front of him, Ning Cheng could not remember if his predecessor had molested her or not, but he did remember that Ning Cheng was extremely fond of her before. But his predecessor was also considered to have a good background. It was reasonable to say that he and Jian Su Jia were worlds apart. Even if he liked her, he could only keep it in his heart, and would absolutely not do something like molesting her. Besides, with Jian Su Jia's actions a moment ago, even if his predecessor was an idiot, it was impossible for him not to know that his cultivation level was far inferior to Jian Su Jia. Compared to Jian Su Jia, not to mention molesting her, even if Ning Cheng wanted to approach her, it would be very difficult, right? It seems that his predecessor molested Jian Su Jia, and was finally thrown into prison. It was really strange. The white-robed man called Xian Yuankue hit a nail on the head with Jian Su Jia, and his face immediately became embarrassed. But then he immediately recognized Ning Cheng. "Hey, are you Ning Cheng? You still haven't died? Senior apprentice Sister Jian, this kid." Xian Yuankue finally did not dare to call out Su Jia's name, but his words were once again interrupted by Jian Su Jia. "You don't have to worry about it, you can only ride your horned stone howling beast in the bustling streets." Saying that, Jian Su Jia turned around and coldly stared at Ning Cheng. "If I were you, I would hide in a corner like a tortoise, and would not have the face to go shopping." Ning Cheng sneered in his heart, and ignored Jian Su Jia, as he turned around and walked away. "You don't know how to appreciate favors." Xian Yuankue saw that Ning Cheng unexpectedly ignored Jian Su Jia, and immediately cursed behind him in a bad mood. Jian Su Jia saw that Ning Cheng usually had a fawning look on his face, but at this time did not pay any attention to his savior, and suddenly frowned. But she did not say anything more to Xian Yuankue, and changed a direction, and also turned around and walked away. Ning Cheng no longer had the thought of surviving in his heart. In this kind of place, if he could not cultivate, and did not have the strength, then the hope of survival was really not big. At this time, how could he be in the mood to go shopping? He wanted to cultivate. Even if he could not cultivate, he would still have to cultivate. "Father, he was the one who saved me." A crisp voice sounded from the side. Ning Cheng turned around and saw the little boy that he had just rescued from under the foot of the one-horned beast. Because of the things that had happened a moment ago, Ning Cheng had momentarily forgotten about the little boy, but he did not expect that the little boy would still remember him. At this time the little boy was being pulled by a middle-aged man with a face full of scars. This middle-aged man was obviously the little boy's father. Ning Cheng thought that this middle-aged man would come over to thank him, and as such stopped. He was ready to say a few polite words. But he did not expect that after this middle-aged man saw him, his eyes would immediately turn into panic, as he hurriedly bowed to Ning Cheng and said, "Young Master Ning, I'm really sorry. This child was not sensible enough to offend young Master Ning. I will take him away." Saying that, he did not wait for Ning Cheng to answer, as he quickly pulled the little boy away, and soon disappeared into the crowd. Ning Cheng touched his thin face, and shook his head. He did not know this middle-aged man, but he could feel that the other party should be very afraid of him, this young Master Ning. Such a trivial matter, Ning Cheng did not care about it. For him, the most important thing now was to go back and cultivate. If he could not cultivate, then he would have to think of other ways. Either he would have to leave the Chongqing province, or he would have to find other ways. Chapter 4. Once again returning to the stone house, the first thing Ning Cheng did was to recall the cultivation method that he had learned before. His predecessor originally did not like to cultivate. Coupled with his poor aptitude, he did not make any progress in his cultivation, and the more he cultivated, the less he felt. Now Ning Cheng was barely able to recall the cultivation method that was passed down from the Ning clan. Fortunately, Ning Cheng's grandfather Ning Hongchang, although indulged Ning Cheng, but the Ning clan's cultivation method and the basic elements of cultivation must be remembered. After Ning Cheng repeatedly recalled, he finally recalled the Ning clan's cultivation method's first layer mnemonic, as well as some of the acupoints and meridians for cultivation. In accordance with his own memory of the mnemonic, Ning Cheng carefully sensed the thin spiritual qi in the outside world, trying to generate a qi sensation in his meridians. At the same time, he was prepared to not be able to sense qi for a long time. He knew his own aptitude. If the qi sensation was so easy to sense, he would not have waited until today to reach the qi gathering realm. Buzz. Ning Cheng had just begun to gather the spiritual qi, when his meridians gave out a buzzing sound. He could clearly hear it. At the same time a severe pain filled his whole body. The next moment, a pure and gentle force spread throughout his whole body, almost tearing his whole body apart. At this time, Ning Cheng felt that if he was even a little bit careless, his whole body's meridians would be completely torn apart, and he would become a cripple. Ning Cheng was horrified. He did not dare to relax even for half a moment. He concentrated his mind to guide the sudden qi sensation. According to the mnemonic that he knew, he guided this qi to flow through his meridians. With his careful guidance, his body that was about to explode finally gradually eased down. As time passed, Ning Cheng immersed himself in the state of the qi flowing through his meridians. It was like a trace of warm water, slowly spreading throughout his body. He was vaguely aware that some of the blocked areas in his meridians were naturally flushed out. Some of the impurities in his body were being squeezed out by this warm qi circulation. A warm and comfortable feeling rose in Ning Cheng's body. Even his consciousness was shielded from his senses. Ning Cheng always felt that his cultivation method was somewhat different from what others had said before. In his memory, cultivation was to absorb the spiritual qi from the outside world, and convert this spiritual qi into his own qi through his meridians. But at this moment, he felt that he hadn't absorbed any spirit qi from the outside. There seemed to be a pure and thick aura in his body. When he was cultivating, this aura would fill his meridians. This kind of aura was like threads of hot water, automatically squeezing out the impurities in his body, automatically clearing his blocked meridians, and then circulating in his meridians. Not knowing for how long, Ning Cheng felt his whole body shake, before he suddenly opened his eyes. The world that suddenly became clear made him forget that the aura that was circulating in his body had disappeared. An extremely relaxed feeling welled up in his heart. Even if Ning Cheng was a fool, he knew that he had unknowingly succeeded in the qi gathering realm. Moreover, he was already a cultivator at the qi gathering first level. Cultivation was that simple. That's not right. If cultivation was so simple, then he wouldn't have been unable to gather qi for so many years, and the entire Chongqing province wouldn't have so many people who couldn't gather qi. Ning Cheng calculated the time that he had cultivated. He was sure that he had not cultivated for more than a day, but in this short period of time, he unexpectedly reached the qi gathering first level. If this was said to others, then absolutely no one would believe it. In the end, what was going on? At this time, Ning Cheng had already forgotten about the smell of the impurities in his body, and instead sat in contemplation. Not only was he not a fool, but he also knew how to protect himself. Before his rebirth, Ning Cheng knew that he was different from others. Because he had an eidetic memory, his ability to understand was simply unparalleled. Because of this kind of heaven-defying ability, Ning Cheng did not dare to make it public. He just wanted to live an ordinary life. After his younger sister graduated from university, he would look for his own simple life. He was very clear about what his ability represented. As long as he revealed it a little, he would immediately become the focus of everyone's attention. Perhaps from now on, he would not even be able to live an ordinary life freely. This was also the reason why Ning Cheng would rather work in the construction site, and was not willing to use his own ability to make money. He knew that once there would be a second time, as long as he started, it would be very difficult to stop, and eventually people would notice him. If it were not for the chance encounter with Tian Mu Wan, he would not even want to continue his studies in university. The only thing that he did not think of was that after he was lovelorn, he would be reborn in such a place. Ning Cheng was sure that his cultivation was different from others. Other people's cultivation was to absorb the spiritual qi from the outside, but his own body had a kind of pure and thick qi. This qi allowed him to quickly gather qi, and advance to the qi gathering first level. He had always been cautious, so Ning Cheng wanted to figure out what was going on. His body seemed to have a spring. this spring provided him with a pure and thick qi, allowing his cultivation speed to greatly increase, even disregarding his qualifications. Unfortunately, Ning Qing knew very little about the path of cultivation. The only information he knew was from the memories of his predecessor. It could be said that he was extremely pitiful. His predecessor was definitely not a person with good qualifications. If his qualifications were good, then he would not have waited until now to gather qi. But his cultivation was so simple, the only possibility was that something had happened in the process of his rebirth. Ning Qing remembered the yellow light that shot from the sky. Perhaps the reason why his cultivation speed was so fast was related to that yellow light. Putting aside these things that he could not understand, Ning Qing walked out of the house, and began to wash his body. When Ning Qing used the well water to wash his body, he found that some of the scars on the surface of his body unexpectedly faded, and his skin also seemed to be a lot whiter. Although Ning Qing had not reached the qi-gathering realm, but he was a student of the Tsangqin Two-Star Academy, and was also born in the Ning clan, so he was not completely ignorant about cultivation. He knew that cultivators' wounds would heal very quickly, but it was absolutely not as fast as it was on his body. The scars on his body were very clear yesterday, but today when he reached the qi-gathering first level, they had faded a lot, which was somewhat unusual. A burst of somewhat hurried footsteps came. These footsteps were obviously coming to his courtyard. Ning Qing was startled in his heart. He had lived here for a few days, but no one had ever come here. Now that there were footsteps, it was obvious that they were targeting him. Ning Qing simply did not have time to think. He hurriedly went into the house, and quickly took out clean clothes and put them on. Ning Qing had just put on his clothes, when Ji Luofei anxiously pushed open the door. "Why did you come back?" Ning Qing saw Ji Luofei, and felt slightly relieved in his heart. After he had offended that Xian Yuan Kuei, he had been feeling somewhat uneasy in his heart. Ji Luofei, seeing that Ning Qing was alright, also secretly felt relieved, and said in a flat tone, "I heard that you had offended that Xian Yuan Kuei." Ning Qing thought that Ji Luofei was going to scold him, and before Ji Luofei could finish her words, he took the initiative and said, "It was him who took the initiative to provoke me. Even if I had to do it again, I would still save him." Letting a little boy be trampled to death by a unicorn in front of his eyes, and even if he could save him, Ning Qing really could not do it. It was tantamount to not saving someone. For him, if he really let that little boy be trampled to death in front of his eyes, he would never be able to get over it. To Ning Qing's surprise, Ji Luofei unexpectedly did not say anything to him, but instead slowed down her tone and said, "Xian Yuan Kuei's status in the Tsangqin province is not ordinary. If you continue to stay here, then you will definitely die." As Ji Luofei spoke till here, she gave a sound, and stared at Ning Qing. After a while, she said, "You have already successfully reached the qi-gathering realm. The smell in this room, is it the impurities in your body?" Ning Qing knew that when Ji Luofei came in, she had already smelled the strange smell, but she did not say it in front of him. Now that she saw that he had successfully gathered his qi, she decided to speak about it. "Yes, I just came back and felt something in my heart, so I cultivated a bit. I did not expect that I would actually be able to successfully reach the qi-gathering realm. I was really lucky." Ning Qing smiled awkwardly. When Ji Luofei heard Ning Qing's words, she did not answer, but instead stared at Ning Qing and sized him up for a while. Ning Qing was just about to ask Ji Luofei what was going on, when his heart suddenly tightened. He understood the meaning of Ji Luofei's words. Ji Luofei was still with him a few days ago, and with his body's condition, even if he wanted to recover, it would be difficult, so how could he suddenly reach the qi-gathering first level? It was obvious that he had a secret on his body. If Ji Luofei could see it, then how could other people not see it? He had just come out from the prison, so presumably everyone was clear about it. Although Ning Qing himself did not know where the secret of his body was, but other people would not think the same. Maybe they would even split him open to check it out. "Luofei, I am now at the qi-gathering first level. I also want to go to the academy to have a look." Ning Qing quickly figured out his situation. For him, at this time, going to the Chongqing 2-star academy was the only way to save his life. If he stayed outside, he could be killed at any time. Ji Luofei was still wondering what kind of secret Ning Qing had, but now after listening to Ning Cheng's words, she had completely forgotten about the matter a moment ago. Ning Cheng had always called her as a girl, but now he had unexpectedly changed the way he addressed her as Luofei. Could it be that hardships could really make a person grow up so quickly? She quickly reacted, now was not the time to think about these things. Then she said, "The reason I came back this time is to let you temporarily go to the academy. If you stay outside alone, I estimate that they will not let you go. But now you are not a student of the academy, so there is no way for you to go to the academy to listen to the lectures. The academy's cultivation room's old man Mu is very good, and has helped me a lot. I told him about your matter. You can go to old man Mu's place to help out, as a handyman of the academy. I have no problem." Ning Qing immediately agreed, as long as he could save his life for the time being. Ning Qing knew that he had a secret on his body. He believed that with his cultivation speed, he would soon have the ability to protect himself. Ji Luofei nodded and said, "Go to the cultivation room to help out, at least you have successfully reached the Qi-gathering realm. This time I came back with a Qi-gathering stone. Originally I wanted to help you gather Qi, but I did not think that you would have already successfully reached the Qi-gathering realm. It could not be any better. We will wait here for a few days, and then go to the academy." Ning Cheng was very intelligent. He instantly understood the meaning of Ji Luofei's words. Ji Luofei knew that him successfully reaching the Qi-gathering realm was definitely not ordinary, so she took the initiative to ask him to stay for a few more days. In the future, when other people knew that he had already reached the Qi-gathering realm, they would be able to push the blame onto her. Ning Cheng was just about to thank her, when he saw that Ji Luofei's complexion seemed to have turned somewhat pale. Chapter 5. Are you okay? Ning Cheng had just asked, when Ji Luofei staggered a bit. Ning Cheng quickly stepped forward to support Ji Luofei. Ji Luofei's body was very soft and fragrant, but it also had a faint smell of blood. Ji Luofei did not wait for Ning Cheng to continue to ask, as she pushed Ning Cheng away and said, "I'm fine, I'm going to rest first, I'll talk to you when I come out." Saying that, Ji Luofei entered the room next to her. Ning Cheng looked at his palm, and found that there was a faint trace of blood on his palm. Ning Cheng instantly understood that Ji Luofei was injured. Just a moment ago, he had placed his hand on Ji Luofei's back, which showed that Ji Luofei's injury was on her back. Looking at Ji Luofei's room, Ning Cheng hesitated for a moment, but did not go in. Ji Luofei was at the Qi-gathering 3rd level. Her cultivation level was much higher than his. It could be seen that the Chongqing 2-star academy was not a safe place. Ji Luofei, attracted by the aroma of the food, had also changed her clothes. Ning Cheng saw that after she rested for a while, her face was no longer as pale as before. "Did you make this?" Ji Luofei looked at the 4 dishes on the small wooden table and asked in surprise. In her impression, when did Ning Cheng know how to cook? Furthermore, the dishes he made were so pleasing to the eye. Ning Cheng smiled and spoke, "Of course I made it. Come and eat." Ji Luofei was obviously not a talkative person, although she was surprised that Ning Cheng knew how to cook, but she did not ask about it. She did not know if Ning Cheng's cooking was delicious, or if she was really hungry. Even after eating a few bowls of rice, he still felt a little unsatiated. After eating, Ning Cheng quickly got up to clean up the dishes. "Wait." Ji Luofei called out to Ning Cheng, "I'll clean up these things later, you haven't done these." Ji Luofei had not even finished her words when she realized that there was something wrong with what she had said. Ning Cheng had never cooked these dishes before, so how could he cook such delicious dishes? She changed her words in time and said, "Sit down first. I have something to tell you." Waiting for Ning Cheng to sit down, Ji Luofei took the initiative to take out two extremely thin leather scrolls and handed them over to Ning Cheng and spoke, "These were left behind by your grandfather, he asked me to give them to you later. Now that you have successfully gathered qi, I should be able to give it to you." Ning Cheng silently took the two thin scrolls, and in his heart was very clear as to what was going on. That was because although his predecessor's grandfather doted on Ning Cheng, but he also knew what kind of trash Ning Cheng was. This leather scroll must be the Ning clan's heirloom cultivation method, which was why he left it to Ji Luofei. But the reason why Ji Luofei gave him the leather parchment, was not because he had reached the qi gathering realm, but because he was completely different from the previous Ning Cheng. Seeing Ning Cheng put away the leather scroll, Ji Luofei gave out a sigh of relief, as if she was glad that she had completed a task. She once again took out a wooden box and handed it to Ning Cheng and said, "There is a qi gathering stone inside, you can use it to cultivate." Now Ning Cheng was no longer a rookie, he knew the preciousness of qi gathering stones. A qi gathering stone was equivalent to 100 gold coins, and this was only the surface pricing. In fact, 100 gold coins were absolutely not enough to buy a qi gathering stone. Even the Ning clan did not have many of them. Now that Ji Luofei took out a qi gathering stone for him, he immediately refused and said, "Luofei, I have already reached the qi gathering realm, you are now at the qi gathering third level, you need a qi gathering stone, you don't have to give it to me." Ji Luofei forcibly stuffed the wooden box into Ning Cheng's hands and said, "If I let you take it then you should take it, you also know that I am at the qi gathering third level. With my qualifications, I think that I will soon leave the Tsangqin 2-star Academy, in the future you will have to rely on yourself." After Ning Cheng heard Ji Luofei's words, he no longer refused the wooden box. He put away the wooden box and said with a sigh, "Luofei, I was not sensible before, if I made you angry then please forgive me. You also know that my qualifications are not good, in the future you will have to leave the Tsangqin province, we may never have the opportunity to meet again. Fortunately, although we were engaged when we were young, we are not married. When you reach the qi gathering fourth level, we will be people from two different worlds, the previous engagement can be forgotten, these years in the Ning clan you have been wronged." If not for the Ning mansion being reduced to ashes, Ning Cheng would have even returned the engagement to Ji Luofei. Ji Luofei stared at Ning Cheng, she had never thought that Ning Cheng would say such words. But she was very clear that what Ning Cheng said was the truth. Once she left the Tsangqin province, she would never have the opportunity to meet with Ning Cheng again. "My life was saved by Grandpa Ning, without Grandpa Ning, there would not be a Ji Luofei. What you said is right, after I leave the Tsangqin province, we will never have the opportunity to meet again. Not to mention that I am now disfigured, so the matter of us getting married is not realistic, but I also know the truth of being faithful to the end. The engagement was set by Grandpa Ning and my grandfather, without their words, I will not dissolve it. But in the future when I leave, you take care of yourself, I really cannot stay by your side for a lifetime." Ji Luofei finished speaking, stood up, picked up a few bowls and saucers and walked into the low kitchen. She was very clear that what Ning Cheng said was right. After she left the Tsangqin province, she and Ning Cheng would never have the opportunity to meet again. With her qualifications, if she forced herself to stay and take care of Ning Cheng, it would only make Ning Cheng die faster. Now that Ning Cheng was at the qi gathering first level, no matter what the reason for Ning Cheng's advancement was, it made Ji Luofei feel a bit more comforted in her heart. Ning Cheng was very smart, how could he not understand the meaning of Ji Luofei's words? He knew that Ji Luofei would leave the Tsangqin province, in the future there would be no way for them to meet again. He took the initiative to dissolve the engagement, so that Ji Luofei would not have any worries in the future. After all, Ji Luofei had saved his life, he could only help Ji Luofei in this way. Now that Ji Luofei did not agree, he was also not willing to say anything more. Ning Cheng returned to his room, and the first thing he did was to take out the qi gathering stone. In his memory there was a qi gathering stone, but he had never seen it before. Now that Ji Luofei took back the qi-gathering stone, Ning Qing first wanted to know what kind of stone this was, for it to be so valuable. 100 gold coins to buy a qi-gathering stone, and it was not guaranteed that one would be able to buy it. This price was really not low. When Ning Qing took out the qi-gathering stone, Ji Luofei immediately sensed it. She glanced at Ning Qing's room, and the corner of her mouth showed a trace of a smile. Although Ning Qing did not have that kind of playboy aura from before, but he was still somewhat childish. Although he said that he did not want the qi-gathering stone, but the first thing he did was to take out the qi-gathering stone. Ji Luofei sensed Ning Qing's qi-gathering stone, but Ning Qing certainly did not know about it. When he saw that it was just a very ordinary dark yellow stone, he was somewhat disappointed in his heart. This stone seemed to contain a lot of spiritual qi, but Ning Qing felt that this spiritual qi was simply not comparable to the spiritual qi that he felt when he cultivated. Putting away the qi-gathering stone, Ning Qing took out the two books. One book introduced the history of the Ning clan, and the other book introduced the Ning clan's cultivation method. After reading the first book, Ning Qing's understanding of the world around him was a lot more intuitive. The Changqing province was just a very small vassal state in the Ping continent, and the Ping continent was also just a corner of the Yixing mainland. In the Yixing mainland there were 9 continents. The Ping continent was the most deficient in spiritual qi. Most of the countries that lived there were mortal countries, and were classified as low-leveled continents. The forces in the Yixing mainland were very complex, because the Ning clan had only ever produced a single cultivator in the essence-building realm. Therefore, the Ning clan did not have a very good understanding of the entire Yixing mainland. Ning Qing from this thin scroll only knew that the main forces of the Yixing mainland in the lower-leveled continents were the true countries, the vassal states, the academies, the clans, as well as some of the sects of the lower-leveled continents. The academy and the true country were the strongest powers that the Ning family knew of. Every true country had many vassal states under them. The vassal states were also divided into 3 stars. 3 stars were the strongest vassal states. 1-star vassal kingdoms were basically mortal kingdoms. At most, there were some ordinary martial cultivators. The Changqing province was only a 1-star vassal state. If the Changqing province did not have a 2-star academy, then the Changqing province would be equivalent to a mortal country. But the academies were different. In the lower-class continents, the highest academy was only a 5-star academy. In a low-level continent, a 3-star academy was equivalent to a 3-star vassal kingdom. If a real country had a 5-star academy, then this academy would have already taken control of the real country. The Ning clan's thin book also had a note behind it, that was the legend that the Yixing mainland had a 9-star academy, but the Ning clan did not have any experts, so there was no way to know if this was true or not. Closing the thin scroll, Ning Qing slowly gave out a sigh. He did not know how big the Yixing mainland was, but from this thin book, he could already guess that the Yixing mainland was incomparably huge. Even if it was the Changqing province, he estimated that it was only equivalent to a grain of sand in the Yixing mainland. The Ning clan had a cultivator in the essence-building realm, but the Ning clan was still unable to leave the lower-class continent of the Yixing mainland. It could be seen that he was naive to think that he would be able to return to Earth after reaching the essence-building realm. The reason why the Ning clan was able to gain a foothold in the Changqing province, was because the Ning clan's ancestors had worked hard for the Changqing province's king. Even so, when the Ning clan was finally destroyed in the capital, the Changqing province's king did not say a single word. Even if Ning Qing came from Earth, his heart was still extremely unhappy. The Changqing province's king had a cold nature. It was not worth it to work hard for him. The second thin book was the same as what Ning Qing thought. It was the Ning clan's cultivation method. The first sentence in the book was that this was a top-tier mortal-grade cultivation method. When Ning Qing saw this, he was somewhat disappointed. It was only a top-tier mortal-grade cultivation method. The qi-gathering 9th level was written in great detail on the thin book. Moreover, there were also some notes. Ning Cheng looked at the front. It was roughly the same as the first level of the cultivation method. He tried to circulate his qi according to the method described in the book, and a warm water-like flow of qi suddenly rose from his dantian. Ning Cheng was startled. He was just about to stop cultivating, when in his mind suddenly appeared a new qi circulation route. This new qi circulation route was obviously different from the one described in the Ning clan's cultivation method. Moreover, Ning Cheng felt that if he followed the method that suddenly appeared in his mind to guide his qi cultivation, the effect would be much better. Chapter 6. Ning Cheng was shocked by his own thoughts, as he forcibly stopped his cultivation. He was only a cultivator at the qi-gathering first level. His understanding of cultivation could be said to be at the most primitive level. To say that he, who only had a smattering of knowledge about the qi-gathering first level, would be able to find a better cultivation method than the Ning clan's inherited cultivation method, even he himself did not believe it. Even if the Ning family's cultivation technique was at the mortal level, it had been modified over countless years by countless people based on their experience. How was he able to find the weakness of this cultivation method and even correct it? Although he wanted to give it another try, Ning Cheng resisted the idea. He knew that once he started cultivating, it would be endless. Even if he did not modify his cultivation method, he might be able to cultivate to the qi-gathering second level in a single breath. He was already at the qi-gathering first level and it was already difficult to explain. Now that he had advanced to the qi-gathering second level, he simply did not know how to explain it. He urgently needed to improve his cultivation, but before that, he had to find a suitable reason or a suitable method. What's more, he could find a more suitable meridian path for his Xinqi. This in itself was a strange thing. If he didn't figure this out, he wouldn't dare to do it. However, Ning Cheng was getting more and more excited in his heart. Even if he did not modify the cultivation method, he would not have to worry about his qualifications being unable to cultivate. There seemed to be an incomparably powerful cultivation source in his body. If this situation continued, how far would he be able to cultivate? Condensing reality realm or essence building realm? Not continuing to cultivate, Ning Cheng began to study the thin scroll of the cultivation method in his hands. This is a common grade cultivation method. It has a detailed introduction from the qi-gathering first level to the qi-gathering ninth level. There are also some annotations of the cultivation method written by the Ning clan's ancestors. What made Ning Cheng surprised was that there were also some simple magical techniques behind this cultivation method. In addition to the fireball spell and wind blade spell, there was also the imperial wind spell. Originally, with Ning Cheng's nature, he was most interested in the imperial wind technique. The introduction of the imperial wind technique stated that after cultivating it to the qi-gathering third level, one would be able to move horizontally for several feet or even more than 100 feet. If he had not seen the concealment technique, Ning Cheng would have definitely tried to cultivate the imperial wind technique. The introduction of the concealment technique made Ning Cheng feel that this was the thing that he needed the most right now. According to the introduction of the concealment technique, it allowed a cultivator to conceal their cultivation level. This made Ning Cheng ecstatic. He had a secret in his body, but regardless of what kind of secret it was a fact that his cultivation was very fast. If he could cultivate quickly and hide his cultivation, what would he have to worry about? Ning Cheng did not feel happy for long, before he once again felt disappointed. This concealment technique was only a mortal-level cultivation technique. Even if he cultivated it to the extreme, he could only conceal 3 small levels according to it. Even if he did it, he estimated that he would only be able to deceive the people in the qi-gathering realm. If he wanted to deceive the cultivators in the true condensation realm, then it would definitely be impossible. In the Tsangqin province, although there were very few true condensation cultivators, but it was not that there were none. In his memory, the Tsangqin 2-star Academy's dean and deputy dean were both cultivators in the true condensation realm. Even if he knew that the concealment technique on this thin scroll was not that good, Ning Cheng still decided to learn the concealment technique first. Ning Cheng was already at the qi-gathering first level, and not only did he have a photographic memory, he also had a strong comprehension ability. Although it was his first time coming into contact with magic, he still completely understood the cultivation method within an hour. When Ning Cheng began to practice the concealment technique, a gentle stream of air once again rose up from his dantian, and in his mind once again appeared some new directions for the concealment technique. This time Ning Cheng did not stop, he only hesitated for a moment, and started to practice the concealment technique according to the mnemonic chant that appeared out of thin air in his mind. He felt that the mnemonic chant that appeared out of thin air in his mind was much better than the concealment technique that he had seen before. In other words, the cultivation method that appeared in his mind was a modified version of the original concealment technique. Ning Cheng did not understand what was going on, but he vaguely felt that this had something to do with the yellow light that had struck him a while ago. He decided to first practice the modified version of the concealment technique, and once he found that the situation was not right, he would immediately stop. But after Ning Cheng started to practice, he did not find anything wrong with the situation. The qi in the meridians in his body flowed freely under the new meridian route, there was not even half a moment of sluggishness. Soon, Ning Cheng was once again immersed in the cultivation of the magic technique. When Ning Cheng woke up, he found that the first magic technique that he had cultivated had already reached the small accomplishment realm. Ning Cheng tried to use the concealment technique to conceal his own cultivation method, and unexpectedly was able to easily conceal the qi fluctuations, without even half a moment of sluggishness. Good stuff. Ning Cheng subconsciously blurted out. He did not know if the concealment technique was a good thing, or if it could automatically correct the cultivation method that he was practicing was a good thing. Ning Cheng had just spoken this sentence, when he heard Ji Luo Fei's voice coming from outside, "Since you are not practicing, then come out to eat." When Ning Cheng heard Ji Luo Fei's voice, he immediately sobered up. He had unexpectedly stayed in the room for the entire night, and now it was already the morning of the next day. When it came to cultivation, time was really worthless, he did not feel anything, and the night had already passed. What's the problem with your cultivation? After Ji Luo Fei saw Ning Cheng come out, she immediately stood up in surprise. She could not feel the qi fluctuations coming from Ning Cheng's body. In other words, she could not see what Ning Cheng's cultivation level was. To be exact, Ning Cheng did not have any cultivation level. Ning Cheng then reacted, it should be because he used the concealment technique, and then quickly said, "I feel that my realm is not very stable, sometimes I can feel the qi, sometimes I can't feel it." Even if Ji Luo Fei was his fiancée, Ning Cheng still did not reveal his secret. He knew that if he had not changed the cultivation method of the concealment technique, then he simply would not have been able to successfully cultivate the concealment technique overnight. This kind of cultivation method that could correct one's mistakes, was simply too terrifying. If he was an expert, then it would not be a big deal, but the key was that he had just come into contact with cultivation. Ji Luo Fei's cultivation level was very low, and did not understand this kind of situation. She frowned, and after a while said, "Although you have reached the qi gathering realm, but your cultivation level has not yet stabilized. Use the qi gathering stone for the next few days, it should be more or less stable, let's eat first." Ning Cheng then saw that the small wooden table had already been prepared, and quickly said, "Thank you." The two of them each had their own thoughts, and ate their breakfast in silence. After eating, Ning Cheng went back to his room to cultivate. Ji Luo Fei also did not ask much. A few days passed by. Ning Cheng wholeheartedly focused on the concealment technique. As for the fireball technique and the wind edge technique, he only studied them, but did not practice them. He also knew that it was not suitable to practice this kind of magic technique in his room. On this day, Ji Luo Fei saw that Ning Cheng's cultivation level seemed to have stabilized at the qi gathering first level, and said to Ning Cheng, "Your qi gathering first level should have stabilized, let's go to the academy today." Okay. Ning Cheng did not hesitate, even if Ji Luo Fei did not say it, he had already planned to remind her. These days, Ning Cheng always felt that there were some people sneaking around the small stone house. If Ji Luo Fei was not here, maybe someone would have already come in and taken him away. Chongqing Two-Star Academy had a transcendent status in the Chongqing province, it was even higher than the Chongqing province. Because the academy's deputy dean, Yong Zhangyan, was a member of the Chongqing province's royal family, so the Chongqing Two-Star Academy could be regarded as the backing of the Chongqing province. In Ning Cheng's memory, the Chongqing Two-Star Academy was very big. Because the original Ning Cheng did not come here often, and also had some disgust towards the Chongqing Two-Star Academy, Ning Cheng's memory was not very clear. At this time, he followed Ji Luofei to the Chongqing Two-Star Academy, only then did he know why this academy was the #1 power in the Chongqing province. The Chongqing Two-Star Academy was somewhat similar to the Western castles, the area was really huge, the forest and the magical arena looked extremely imposing from afar. Ning Cheng was more familiar with the Chongqing province's imperial city, he was sure that the Chongqing province's imperial city was not as good as this Two-Star Academy. Standing at the entrance of the academy, Ning Cheng could clearly feel that the spiritual qi here was much denser compared to other places. In front of the academy's entrance, there was a large square with a radius of several hundred feet, and in the middle of the large square was an incomparably huge arena. Seeing Ning Cheng staring at the incomparably huge arena, Ji Luofei said in a light voice, "That is the dueling arena. If the cultivators of the academy have any grievances or disputes, gambling and so on, they can fight to the death on the dueling arena." In the past, there was no dueling arena here, because all the academies above 3-star have such a dueling arena. The Chongqing Two-Star Academy, in order to become a 3-star academy, also built this dueling arena. Finished speaking, Ji Luofei turned back to Ning Cheng and said, "Later on, you will have to help out in the cultivation rooms, try not to come out, and also do not make enemies with others. Otherwise, once you go up to the dueling arena, it would be very difficult to come down." Ning Cheng asked in a puzzled manner, "Others want to duel with me, can't I just not fight?" "You can't." Ji Luofei's reply was even more concise. After she finished speaking, she did not wait for Ning Cheng to ask again, and had already entered the academy's entrance. Ning Cheng had just followed Ji Luofei into the academy, when a clear voice reached his ears. Chongqing Two-Star Academy will select 10 disciples to participate in the Hua Continent's Falling Star 5-Star Academy selection. Ji Luofei acted as if she did not hear it, but Ning Cheng almost staggered. This was the sound of a broadcast. He absolutely did not hear it wrong, this was definitely the sound of a broadcast. "What are you standing there for?" Ji Luofei saw Ning Cheng standing there in a daze, and turned back to ask. "Is this a broadcast?" Ning Cheng stood in the same place and muttered, he seemed to have once again returned to the place where he once lived. If he was not on Earth, then where did this broadcast come from? This was a mystical place, one could cultivate here, one could even cast a variety of magic techniques. But if Ning Cheng had to choose, he would rather he was still on Earth. At least there was a younger sister there was a relative there. Chapter 7. Of course it is the broadcast. Ji Luofei, on seeing Ning Cheng standing there muttering to himself, could not help but helplessly speak up. The Chongqing Two-Star Academy's broadcast array formation had not been introduced for a long time, because the academy wanted to apply to join a 3-star academy. In addition to strengthening their strength, the academy's facilities also needed to be strengthened. The dueling platform outside the academy was built for this reason, and this broadcasting array formation was also built by the academy at a high cost to invite an array formation master from the Hua continent. Not only that, but the academy also sold sound tablets. The Chongqing Two-Star Academy's Sound Jade tablet was able to broadcast most of the events in the Ping continent. The sound transmission of this Sound Jade tablet was also constructed with a variety of sound transmission arrays. Where did this country bumpkin come from? You don't even know about the domain of sound array. A male student with long hair walked past Ning Cheng and Ji Luofei, and after hearing the conversation between the two of them, ridiculed them with disdain. Ning Cheng finally understood that the broadcast in this place was not transmitted through the electric current, but through other means. At this time when he heard someone ridiculing him, he was just about to respond when Ji Luofei pulled his hand and spoke, "Don't worry about others, let's go." I was wondering who it was. It turned out to be ugly woman Ji. The male student who spoke had already recognized Ji Luofei, as he continued to unscrupulously ridicule her. Ji Luofei's face remained calm, without even the slightest fluctuation. It was as if that person was not ridiculing her at all. Ning Cheng suppressed the anger in his heart and was pulled away by Ji Luofei. He knew that with his cultivation, if they were to clash, he would most likely be killed in an instant. Gu Fei is really useless, he can't even beat such an ugly monster. After Ji Luofei and Ning Cheng walked away, the person behind them still spoke with a sneer. His purpose was very obvious, which was to provoke Ji Luofei. Ning Cheng could feel that Ji Luofei was suppressing the anger in her heart. At this moment, Ning Cheng almost could not help but turn around and grab this person who was ridiculing him and beat him up. His name is Chu Chenjun, Qi gathering 3rd level, his cultivation level is even higher than mine. Ji Luofei explained from the side. Ning Cheng did not speak, he knew that if he did not have enough strength, then whatever he said would just be nonsense. Ji Luofei's words were equivalent to a reminder to him. If he was stronger, then Chu Chenjun would not dare to speak so arrogantly in front of him. He had always been thinking about who was this Gu Fei. Listening to Chu Chenjun's words, it seemed that Ji Luofei and Gu Fei had fought once. He did not know if the injuries on Ji Luofei's body were due to this matter. The Changqin 2-star Academy covered an enormous area. Ning Cheng knew that the reason why Ji Luofei brought him to the Changqin 2-star Academy was for the sake of his small life. Therefore, he had thought that Ji Luofei would definitely find a remote place for him to take shelter in, but he did not expect that Ji Luofei would bring him to a simple and thick pagoda-shaped building. The pagoda looked extremely majestic, and there were many people in front of the pagoda, some entering and some leaving. It was said to be a pagoda, but its appearance was somewhat similar. To be more precise, it was a pagoda-like building because the top of the pagoda was flat. In the middle of this pagoda-shaped building, a few huge characters were written, Changqin Cultivation Tower. You come in with me, don't talk nonsense. After Ji Luofei spoke a few words to Ning Cheng, she had already walked in first. This pagoda-shaped building looked huge from the outside, but after Ning Cheng followed Ji Luofei into the ground floor of the building, he came to know that the inside was several times bigger than what he had imagined. Ji Luofei brought Ning Cheng to the 3rd floor, and then walked towards a black stone door in the corner of the 3rd floor. Elder Mu lives here, this is the Academy's cultivation room, it is managed by Elder Mu, you must be respectful when you see Elder Mu. Ji Luofei was still exhorting Ning Cheng, when the black stone door opened. An old man with sparse hair, a face full of wrinkles, and even his eyes were unable to open, stood at the door. Since you have come, then come in. The voice was unexpectedly loud and clear. If Ning Cheng had heard this voice first, he would have definitely thought that this was not an old man, but a young man in his 20s or 30s. Elder Mu, he is Ning Cheng. Ji Luofei entered the stone door first, and respectfully bowed towards the old man. Ning Cheng followed behind and also bowed and said, Ning Cheng greets Elder Mu. Qi gathering 1st level, you can barely help, how is your spiritual root? Elder Mu glanced at Ning Cheng with a dull look in his eyes and said. Ji Luofei quickly spoke again, although Ning Cheng does not have a main spiritual root, but he has a 3-line hybrid spiritual root. What color? Elder Mu asked again. Ji Luofei replied with some fear, turbid yellow. Ning Cheng did not understand much about spiritual roots, he only knew that spiritual roots represented qualifications, his qualifications were very poor, presumably his spiritual roots would also not be good. Just a moment ago, it was obviously this Elder Mu who asked Ji Luofei about Ning Cheng's spiritual roots, but at this time when Ji Luofei replied, Elder Mu instead snorted and said, I came here to clean the cultivation room, it has nothing to do with the quality of spiritual roots. Well, there is nothing for you to do here, you can go. Yes, this junior will take his leave. Ji Luofei, on hearing Elder Mu's words, quickly bowed her head and gave a salute, then withdrew. She did not even speak a single word to Ningcheng. But Ningcheng felt that something was wrong. Ji Luofei had said that Elder Mu was good to her. The reason why he was able to come here and work as a handyman, was also because Elder Mu had given Ji Luofei face to help him. But looking at Ji Luofei's attitude towards Elder Mu, it seemed that Elder Mu did not value her very much. If that was the case, then why would Elder Mu still help him? After Ji Luofei left, this Elder Mu who looked like a dead man spoke to Ningcheng in a cold voice, the 7th floor of the cultivation tower is currently empty, you are responsible for the 7th floor. Ningcheng was confused, what was he responsible for the 7th floor? This old man only said that he was responsible for the 7th floor, and then did not say anything else. Who knew what he wanted to do? Moreover, where did he live? This is for you, go to the 7th floor by yourself, do not disturb me. Elder Mu said as he threw a wooden sign and a thin piece of paper towards Ningcheng. Ningcheng had just caught the wooden sign and a thin piece of paper, when he felt a huge push, he could not help but be pushed out of the room. The next moment, Elder Mu's black stone door had already closed. This Elder Mu does not seem to be a good person, he should also not be a good person. Ningcheng secretly cursed in his heart, but did not dare to continue to ask this Elder Mu. What was written on the piece of paper was very simple, every day before dawn, the unused cultivation rooms on the 7th floor must be cleaned up. If there is any abnormal situation, it must be reported promptly. The wooden sign was the key to open the door of the cultivation room. As long as there was no one staying in the cultivation room, it could be opened with the wooden sign. If the rules were violated, heavy punishment would be imposed. Ningcheng looked at these few simple words, and felt somewhat baffled. Violated the rules? There was simply no such rule. Besides, what kind of abnormal situation was it? Who was the report to? Tidying up, how to tidy up? Ningcheng knew nothing about this, the only thing he knew was that this cultivation tower had 7 floors, he was working on the 7th floor, he did not even know where he ate and slept. Ningcheng wanted to find Ji Luofei and ask her, but he simply did not know where Ji Luofei was. Changqing 2-star Academy was so huge, even if he circled around it, it would not take him a while to complete it. According to Ningcheng's thoughts, after Ji Luofei sent him to Elder Mu, she should be waiting for him outside. But when he came out of Elder Mu's stone house, he did not see Ji Luofei. Ningcheng did not go out to look for Ji Luofei, he was very clear that the less he appeared the better. For Ji Luofei to know that he had offended Xian Yuan Kuei, it showed that Xian Yuan Kuei's status in the Changqing 2-star Academy was not low, or Jian Su Jia, who had saved him, also had a high status here, otherwise this matter would not have reached Ji Luofei's ears. Ningcheng climbed up to the 7th floor of the cultivation tower. The 7th floor was much smaller than he had imagined, although the cultivation tower was not a tower, but it was built according to the shape of a tower. This cultivation tower had a total of 7 floors, so it was expected that the upper floors would be smaller. After arriving at the 7th floor, Ningcheng counted, there were a total of 18 cultivation rooms. Ningcheng did not spend much time to understand that as long as the red light on the door of the cultivation room was lit, it meant that there was someone cultivating inside. If the light on the door was turned off, then it meant that there was no one inside. The number of people cultivating on the 7th floor was obviously very few, only 3 of the cultivation rooms had red lights on, the rest did not have any red lights. Ningcheng tried to insert the wooden card into the groove of an empty cultivation room's door, the cultivation room's stone door automatically shrank. Then Ningcheng saw the situation inside the cultivation room. The area of this cultivation room was also very large, moreover the cultivation room was divided into 2. The outside one was like a small playground, but he did not know what kind of magic technique was being cultivated inside. The ground was in a mess, there were even some traces of fire. The inside of the room seemed to be a resting place, there was also a wooden bed. Ning Qing withdrew from this cultivation room, and went to the other cultivation rooms to look around. These cultivation rooms were almost the same, if not there was a puddle of water on the ground, then there were all kinds of burn marks, there were even some that were full of dead plant vines. After roughly looking at it, Ning Qing already knew what he had to do, it should be to clean up the empty cultivation room every day. To put it bluntly, he was now a cleaner. Looking around, Ning Qing found his own residence in the corner of the 7th floor. It was a small stone house with only a few square meters. Just like Elder Mu, he also lived in a small stone house, but his stone house was not even a tenth of the size of Elder Mu's. Inside the small stone house, in addition to a bed, there were also a few cleaning tools. A huge broom, a shovel, and a dustpan. These three things occupied a tenth of the area of the small stone house. Ning Qing felt relieved, at least he had a place to live, although this place was in the middle of the cultivation tower, but it was relatively remote. The only thing he wanted to know was where he could eat and wash himself. Going to ask Elder Mu, Ning Qing did not dare to go, and also did not want to face that gloomy face. He deliberately ran to the front of the small stone house on the 6th floor that also had a cultivation room. After knocking on the stone door, a tall man who was thinner than him appeared. Seeing the impatient face of this tall man, Ning Qing quickly asked in a polite manner, "I have just arrived, and am now cleaning the cultivation rooms on the 7th floor, may I ask where I can eat?" "Who told you that if you clean the cultivation rooms you can eat?" The tall thin man replied with a disdainful voice, and with a bang, once again closed the stone door. Chapter 8. Ning Qing did not think that this guy would have such a bad attitude, he could only prepare to go down to the 5th floor and ask. The 6th floor was much larger than the 7th floor, and he could occasionally see people going in and out of the cultivation room, but it was not like the 7th floor, where he could not see anyone going in or out. "You wait a minute." At the staircase, Ning Qing was called. "You called me?" Ning Qing looked back and saw a boy who was a few years older than him. It seemed that he had just come out of the cultivation room. This boy's skin was a lot darker than Ning Qing's, and he had a smile on his face. It was obvious that he did not have any malicious intent. Ning Qing knew that any one of these students who cultivated here, had a much higher status than him, a handyman. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble, he did not intend to ask this kind of person, nor did he intend to talk to these students. In the Chongqing province, the students who could enter this academy, had an extraordinary background. No matter which one of them, Ning Qing could not afford to offend them. "I just heard what you said, you should be cleaning the cultivation room, right?" the boy directly said. Ning Qing quickly replied, "Yes, this is my first day here, I don't know where to eat, so I came to ask." "You not only don't know where to eat, it seems that you don't know the rules here. Remember, handymen are not allowed to use the staircase. Once you are met by some students or law enforcers, even if you don't die, you will lose a layer of skin." Listening to the boy's words, Ning Qing was shocked. When he came down from the 7th floor, he used the staircase. Moreover, Ji Luofei did not tell him that he could not use the staircase. If there really was such a rule, and this boy did not remind him, then he was afraid that he would really be in danger. "Many thanks for telling me this, friend, otherwise I would have been in danger," Ning Qing said gratefully. The boy smiled and said, "It's nothing, I used to clean the cultivation rooms. After doing this for 7 years, I was able to cultivate to the Qi Gathering 2nd level, then I was chosen by the academy, and became an official disciple of the academy. Now I am already at the Qi Gathering 4th level. You work hard, maybe in the future you can be like me. Remember, if you want to go in and out of the cultivation tower, you can only go through the side door." With that, the boy pointed to a very hidden small door, that is the side door. Every floor has one. After you go in, you can go directly to the back of the cultivation tower. In the back of the cultivation tower, there is a place to eat. The money for eating is earned by yourself. Do not go looking for old Mu, otherwise you will definitely die. I wish you good luck. After the boy finished speaking, he did not say his name and went down the stairs. Ning Qing knew that the other party did not intend to get to know him. But since this boy had pointed out these things, it was equivalent to saving his small life. As such, Ning Qing was extremely grateful to this boy in his heart. Hearing the sound of footsteps coming from the staircase, Ning Qing quickly went to the small door in the corner, opened the door and went in. It was extremely dark behind the small door, and there was only a narrow staircase. It looked like a life-saving passageway in a high-rise building on Earth. Walking all the way down the stairs, Ning Qing discovered that he was already at the back of the cultivation tower. Behind the cultivation tower was also the inside of the academy, but there were very few people here, there was only a slender winding path. There were towering trees on both sides of the path, and through the gaps between the trees, one could see many students coming and going from the academy. There were also some students who purposely entered this small path and hurried along it. Ning Qing also followed this path, and after walking for about half a quarter of an hour, he saw a narrow door, and next to the door was a stone house. Inside the stone house, there was a middle-aged man, but this man did not care about the students coming in and out of the small door, it seemed that he was just a gatekeeper. After Ning Qing came out of the small door, he was immediately shocked by the bustling scene in front of him. This was simply a food market with everything, it was very noisy. There were all kinds of shops, snack stalls, everything. But the grade was very low, it was far inferior to the streets in the center of the Zhanglu city. This place was so prosperous, moreover there were so many people. Ning Qing even suspected that Ji Luofei did not know about this place, at least he did not have any memory of this place before. A huge sign was erected in the most conspicuous place, the sign had arrows leading to various places. The first one was unexpectedly not a merchant house, nor was it a magical artifact store, but rather a fighting pot. The name Fighting Pot, this was the first time that Ning Qing had heard of it, causing a strong curiosity to rise in his heart. He simply followed the direction of the arrow pointing to the fighting pot, and after 10 minutes, a huge circular building appeared in front of him. Ning Qing stopped, he saw that there were two people blocking the entrance of the circular building, apparently they wanted to charge a fee. He still had some silver coins on him, this would be his living expenses in the future, letting him use it on this unknown fighting pot. Ning Qing did not want to waste it. Just when Ning Qing was about to turn around and leave, a few people came out from the door next to the circular building. The discussion of these people attracted him. Watching those barbarians fight is really not interesting at all. Today I lost some silver coins, not only did I not see anything exciting, I even lost money. The last time the ugly girl Ji Luofei and Gu Fei fought, it was really wonderful. I did not think that Gu Fei would not be an opponent for the ugly girl Ji Luofei. Ji Luofei is ugly, but she also knows the importance of cultivation. If she defeats Gu Fei, she would get a Qi gathering stone. A Qi gathering stone, just thinking about it makes me envious. But she also seems to be injured. Once Gu Fei's brother Gu Yiming comes back, I estimate that she would have to vomit out what she ate. Even if Gu Yiming does not come back, Gu Fei would not be able to swallow this. Ugly girl is not necessarily, she is just disfigured, otherwise who in the academy can you find a better figure than her? Even Jian Su Jie is not as good as. Shut up, you don't want to live, daring to say such things about senior apprentice sister Jian. As the few people gradually walked away, Ning Cheng's fists were clenched so tightly that blue veins could be seen. Ning Cheng did not go inside the fighting pot, but he could already imagine that it would be a bloody fighting arena, equivalent to an underground black boxing ring. He did not think that Ji Luofei's Qi gathering stone was obtained from this place, but it also left behind serious sequelae. That was Gu Fei's brother Gu Yiming, and listening to these people, Gu Fei was not willing to let go of Ji Luofei. Ning Cheng was not in the mood to continue strolling around, he casually sold some dry rations and hurried back to the 7th floor of the cultivation tower. He wanted to speed up his cultivation, and cultivate to the qi-gathering 4th level as soon as possible. In this place, strength meant dignity. There were only a few students who came to cultivate in the 7th floor of the cultivation tower. Ning Cheng cleaned up a few of the cultivation rooms, and directly shut himself in his small stone house and began to cultivate. The students who cultivated in the cultivation rooms, once the cultivation room was closed, the spiritual qi inside the room would increase exponentially. Ning Cheng did not have this kind of treatment. His small stone house was the same as it was before, even after it was closed. When Ning Cheng began to gather qi, a new flow of qi once again appeared in his mind. With the concealment technique in front of him, Ning Cheng did not hesitate for even half a moment. He directly abandoned the cultivation method on the Ning clan's thin book, and followed the cultivation method that appeared in his mind. The spiritual qi outside was thin, but it did not affect Ning Cheng in the slightest. While he began to cultivate, his dantian was the same as before. It provided a spiritual source that was purer and thicker than the spiritual qi, allowing Ning Cheng to continuously cleanse and open up the meridians in his body. Ning Cheng had the previous experience. At this time he did not panic. He found that the cultivation method that appeared in his mind was much more effective than the Ning clan's thin book. Whether it was the qi flowing through the meridians, or the rest of the qi flowing through the meridians, it was more than 10 times smoother. When Ning Cheng woke up again, he was already at the qi-gathering 2nd level. His body once again oozed out a large amount of dirt. Feeling the flow of qi that was much more powerful than when he was at the qi-gathering 1st level, Ning Cheng knew that he had advanced to the qi-gathering 2nd level without any suspense. Calculating the time, he had unexpectedly cultivated for 2 days and 2 nights in a row. In addition to his hunger, there was only the feeling of the qi in his body fluctuating like a drum. Ning Cheng did not dare to continue cultivating. It could be said that he had already committed a crime. He had not cleaned the cultivation room for 2 days. Fortunately, he also knew that there were very few people cultivating on the 7th floor, so that Elder Mu would not really care about him. Ning Cheng did not immediately go out to clean the cultivation room, but instead continued to cultivate a new magic technique, the dust removal technique. After every time he cultivated, he would use the dust removal technique to remove the dirt on his body, rather than going downstairs to find water to wash himself. In the early morning of the 3rd day, Ning Cheng used the dust removal technique to clean himself, and then went to clean the cultivation room. The cultivation rooms on the 7th floor were just as he had thought. There were not many people who came to cultivate. Even if he had not come to clean for 3 days, there were still a few clean cultivation rooms that were empty. In the following days, Ning Cheng hid in the 7th floor to cultivate. While cleaning the cultivation rooms, he went to the cultivation rooms to cultivate a variety of magic techniques. The only regret was that when he cultivated in the cultivation rooms, he did not have the support of any spiritual qi. Time passed by very quickly, and in a blink of an eye, 10 days had passed. During this period, Ji Luofei did not come up to look for Ning Cheng even once. Ning Cheng also rarely went out, as he put all of his concentration into cultivating. But after Ning Cheng advanced to the qi-gathering 3rd level, he began to panic. After he cultivated to the qi-gathering 3rd level, he could no longer feel the support of the spiritual source in his body. Ning Cheng was very clear. Without the support of the mysterious spiritual source in his body, even if he cultivated for a lifetime, he would not be able to advance from the qi-gathering 3rd level to the qi-gathering 4th level. In the next few days, Ning Cheng repeatedly cultivated, but he could no longer feel the support of the pure and thick spiritual qi in his body. His cultivation stagnated, but he had already succeeded in cultivating a few simple magic techniques. When he had just advanced to the qi-gathering 3rd level, under the guidance of the cultivation method, he even advanced the fireball technique to the fire blade technique. Even so, it still made Ning Cheng anxious. Without the support of the mysterious spiritual source, he could only stay at the qi-gathering 3rd level for a lifetime. Ning Cheng decided to go out and look for Ji Luofei. Since he could not make any progress in his cultivation, he did not want to continue to stay in this stone house. He had just tidied up a bit, and had not even opened the door, when he heard a bang sound. The door of his small stone house was directly kicked open. Chapter 9. A man and a woman were standing at the door. Ning Cheng was already at the Qi-gathering 3rd level, and with a glance he could see that the male cultivator was at the Qi-gathering 4th level, and the female cultivator was at the Qi-gathering 3rd level. The male cultivator was tall, and had a good appearance, but his slender eyes made his tall stature seem redundant. "Are you the handyman who cleans the cultivation rooms?" The woman saw that Ning Cheng was only at the Qi-gathering 1st level, and her eyes flashed with disdain. Ning Cheng was already planning to leave this place. That old Mu could do whatever he wanted, it had nothing to do with him. But he did not think that when he was about to leave, the door would be kicked in. "Why did you two kick my door?" Ning Cheng did not answer the question of the female cultivator, and directly asked. The slender-eyed man saw that Ning Cheng actually dared to ask them, and immediately stepped forward. "What, I kicked your door, are you not happy? Today I not only want to kick your door, but also want to slap your face. What can you do?" The man did not finish his words, and raised his palm. "Such great prestige." A cold voice came. The slender-eyed man's hand abruptly stopped in the air. Ning Cheng saw that the male cultivator was about to make a move, and was ready to make a move, but he did not expect that someone would take the initiative to speak. At this time he also saw the person who spoke. It was a woman who had just come out of the cultivation room. This woman not only spoke coldly, but her face was also expressionless. If it was just based on appearance, she was not worse than Jian Su Jie. What surprised Ning Cheng was not her appearance, but her cultivation. Unexpectedly she was already at the Qi-gathering 6th level. Senior Apprentice Sister Zhuang. The slender-eyed male cultivator recognized the woman who spoke, and quickly cupped his fists and called out. The Qi-gathering 3rd level female cultivator next to him also quickly came forward to greet her. The woman called Senior Apprentice Sister Zhuang coldly snorted, and turned to leave, but the moment she turned, she saw Ning Cheng. Then she once again stopped her footsteps, and walked over, and said with a frown, "Are you Ning Cheng? Ji Luo Fei's fiancé?" Ning Cheng cupped his fists and said, "I am indeed Ning Cheng, greeting Senior Apprentice Sister Zhuang." Seeing that Senior Apprentice Sister Zhuang actually knew Ning Cheng, the slender-eyed male cultivator quickly said, "Senior Apprentice Sister Zhuang, I left my sound jade tablet in the cultivation room. I did not leave for long, and came back to look for it, but I could not find it. Other than this odd job worker, the only one who can use the training room on the 7th floor." This male cultivator with slender eyes had not yet finished, when he was interrupted by Senior Apprentice Sister Zhuang. "Lu Pingyun, you know Ning Cheng's identity. The Falling Star 5-star Academy would soon come to the Tsangqin 2-star Academy to recruit 10 disciples, and the selection would soon begin, so Gu Yiming would definitely come back." Gu Fei thought that Ji Luofei was easy to bully, but he did not think that he would end up being injured by Ji Luofei. After Gu Yiming returns, Ji Luofei would definitely not be able to escape, so you came here to teach Ning Cheng a lesson, and then take Ning Cheng away to humiliate Ji Luofei. This male cultivator called Lu Pengyun's face changed from green to white, and then he simply said, "Senior Apprentice Sister Zhuang, you and Senior Apprentice Brother Gu are both people that I respect." Senior Apprentice Brother Gu has already returned. Gu Fei was severely injured by Ji Luofei. As such, Senior Apprentice Brother Gu will definitely not let this matter go. "So you want me to mind my own business and let you take Ning Cheng away?" Senior Apprentice Sister Zhuang said in a light voice. The male cultivator cupped his fists and no longer spoke. Obviously, what Senior Martial Sister Zhuang said was what they were thinking. "Get lost, don't let me see you in the Dawn Forest or the Mingot Sea, otherwise I will definitely kill you." Senior Martial Sister Zhuang's words were incomparably cold. When the two cultivators heard it, their complexion changed. They did not think that Senior Martial Sister Zhuang would not even give face to Gu Yiming. However, the two of them did not dare to continue to be long-winded, and quickly turned around and quickly went down the stairs. "You're on your own. After Senior Marshal Sister Zhuang saw the two of them go down, she stared at Ning Cheng and said with an expressionless face. Ning Cheng was really a bit depressed in his heart. Originally he was saved by two women in a row and felt a bit awkward in his heart. Now whether it was Jian Su Jie or this Senior Marshal Sister Zhuang, both of them were on their own. Seeing Senior Marshal Sister Zhuang turn around to leave, Ning Cheng quickly called out and said, "Many thanks Senior Marshal Sister Zhuang for your help. I would like to ask Senior Marshal Sister, what is going on between Luofei and that Gu Fei?" Senior Marshal Sister Zhuang looked back at Ning Cheng and said, "You are not worthy of Ji Luofei." Saying that, she unexpectedly no longer paid any attention to Ning Cheng, and turned around to leave. Ning Cheng thought that Ji Luofei had not come to look for him for more than 10 days, and felt a bit worried in his heart. He also sped up, and earnestly asked, "Senior Marshal Sister Zhuang, please tell me how Luofei was injured by Gu Fei." Ning Cheng would be very grateful. Senior Marshal Sister Zhuang stopped, glanced at Ning Cheng, and said, "Ji Luofei fought 10 consecutive battles in the fighting pot, and won a Qi gathering stone. Gu Fei saw that after Ji Luofei fought 10 battles, her Qi was insufficient, and she did not have any friends to accompany her, so he took the initiative to challenge Ji Luofei, and bet a Qi gathering stone. Ji Luofei, under the threat of the fighting pot, had no choice but to fight another battle. The result was that because her Qi was insufficient, she was seriously injured by Gu Fei. However, Gu Fei also underestimated Ji Luofei, and as a result, his injuries became even more serious. She paused for a moment, and then looked at Ning Cheng. "If I have not guessed wrong, Ji Luofei's Qi gathering stone should have been given to you, so you can advance to the Qi gathering first level." Ning Cheng did not refute this sentence. Ji Luofei's Qi gathering stone was indeed given to him, but he had not used it, and had kept it by his side. Him advancing to the Qi gathering first level had nothing to do with Ji Luofei's Qi gathering stone. "Senior Marshal Sister Zhuang, you said that Gu Yiming is Gu Fei's elder brother, and that after he came back, he was looking for Luofei to retaliate?" Ning Cheng once again asked. Senior Marshal Sister Zhuang still did not directly answer Ning Cheng's question, and said, "After Ji Luofei defeated Gu Fei, she once again won a Qi gathering stone, but she did not try to kill Gu Fei. Because she was seriously injured, and there was no one to accompany her, the deacon of the fighting pot forced Ji Luofei to leave behind one of the 2 Qi gathering stones." "Why?" Ning Cheng was not aware that his voice had become very loud. Senior Marshal Sister Zhuang slowly said, "Because after Ji Luofei fought 10 battles, it was already over. Gu Fei's challenge to her was an accidental battle, so the deacon of the fighting pot demanded a fee. The venue fee for a duel is a Qi gathering stone. Moreover, it was the fighting pot that forced Luofei to participate." Ning Cheng felt a flame burning in his heart. This was simply going too far. He could even imagine the helplessness of Ji Luofei at that time. Senior Marshal Sister Zhuang's tone was even more flat as she said, "After Gu Yiming comes back, he will definitely find an excuse to kill Ji Luofei. If you want to live, it would not be bad for you to leave this place as soon as possible." This time, after Senior Marshal Sister Zhuang finished speaking, she sped up her pace and quickly disappeared from the stairway. Ning Cheng calmed down the anger in his heart. This time he did not go out from the side door. He was about to leave the Changqing 2-star Academy. Even if he offended someone, he would not care about it. When Ning Cheng followed Ji Luofei to the cultivation tower's 3rd floor, there were many people on the 3rd floor. But today, when Ning Cheng once again went to the 3rd floor, he found that there were only a few people. Moreover, these few people were also hurrying down the stairs. "You are not staying on the 7th floor to clean the cultivation rooms, what are you doing here?" Ning Cheng was just about to go down from the 3rd floor, when old Mu's voice suddenly appeared in Ning Cheng's ears. Ning Cheng was startled. He clearly saw that the door of old Mu's stone house was closed. How could it be opened in the blink of an eye? Ning Cheng instantly reacted. He quickly stood up and replied with a bow, "I want to go and see the excitement." He simply did not know what was going on, but the people of the cultivation tower had all gone out, and now only the people who had gone out did not come in. In Ning Cheng's view, something must have happened. You have a lot of courage. Old Mu said in a cold voice, and unexpectedly did not say anything more. Instead he returned to his stone room, and at the same time closed the door of the stone room. Ning Cheng was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat. He did not know what Old Mu meant when he said that he had a lot of courage. Was it because he had deserted his post, or because he had taken the stairs? No matter what, Old Mu had only said a few words, and unexpectedly did not further reprimand him. This made Ning Cheng feel a bit strange at the same time. Fortunately, Ning Cheng immediately thought that he would not continue to stay here, and his heart calmed down a bit. After he went out, he would find Ji Luofei, and then he would leave this place. Coming out of the cultivation tower, Ning Cheng knew that there was really a lot of excitement to see. Many students of the Tsangqin Academy were flocking to the same place. Ning Cheng stopped a male student who was also at the Qi gathering first level and asked, "Excuse me, where are all these people going?" The male student at the Qi gathering first level looked at Ning Cheng with a puzzled expression and asked, "Are you not from the Tsangqin Academy?" "Of course I am, but I just came out of seclusion, so I am not very clear about it," Ning Cheng confidently said. The male student at the Qi gathering first level looked at Ning Cheng with some disbelief. A guy at the Qi gathering first level said that he had gone into seclusion. It would be strange if he believed him. But he still replied, "Hua Continent's Falling Star 5-Star Academy came to our academy to select 10 disciples. Today is the start of the tryouts. How could it not be lively? Isn't the competition very fierce?" Ning Cheng knew about this matter. When he and Ji Luofei entered the Tsangqin 2-Star Academy, he had heard the broadcast about this matter. Not long ago senior apprentice Sister Zhuang had also mentioned it. More than fierce. Our Tsangqin 2-Star Academy is full of talented people. The number of genius disciples is innumerable. The Hua Continent's Falling Star 5-Star Academy only selects 10. Do you think it is intense or not? Ning Cheng was also a student of the academy, as he shook his head and said with a sigh, "Alas, if the Falling Star 5-Star Academy could recruit a few more people from our academy, then it would be very good." The student who had been stopped by Ning Cheng before looked at Ning Cheng with an incredulous look on his face and said, "Don't you know how these 10 places came about? In the past, even if the students from our Tsangqin 2-Star Academy wanted to go to the Falling Star 5-Star Academy, they would still have to go by themselves. Moreover, only 1 or 2 of them would be selected, that's all. This time, the reason why the Falling Star 5-Star Academy took the initiative to select them, is because our Ping continent's top expert Lian Haoyan had made a great contribution to the war between the 3 continents. As such we have this kind of treatment. Of course, Senior Lian Haoyan's cultivation level is through the heavens. I heard that he is already in the profound core realm. After he made a great contribution, he first requested the Hua Continent's Falling Star 5-Star Academy to recruit 10 students from all the 2-star academies and above in the Ping continent. Otherwise, for my Tsangqin Academy to have 10 places, it would really be impossible, not to mention the teachers of the Falling Star 5-Star Academy personally came to select the students. After the student at the Qi gathering first level heard this, he immediately echoed. Chapter 10. Ning Cheng followed the crowd of students to the Tsangqin 2-Star Academy's public square, where there were already tens of thousands of people, and there was even a steady stream of students rushing over. In the middle of the public square was a huge golden ring. Behind the ring were rows of chairs. Ning Cheng roughly counted, there were at least 100 people sitting behind the ring. Ning Cheng thought, he guessed that this place was probably the same as Earth. Sitting behind the ring were some leaders. Maybe even the Tsangqin province's king was here, but he could not remember what the Tsangqin province's king looked like. Ning Cheng stood in the corner. He did not know any of the people on the ring, moreover he did not know the specifics of the selection. At this time he could only hide in the corner and listen to the discussions of the others. You see, in the middle of the first row is a senior wearing a grey robe, and there are 2 seniors beside him. they are from the Falling Star 5-Star Academy. I heard that they are experts in the essence building realm. I heard that the students of the 5-Star Academies are very amazing, and now the teachers of the 5-Star Academies are willing to come here to wait for the students. It can be seen that the higher the level of the academy, the more they desire talented students. What do you know? If not for our Ping Continent's Lian Hao Yen, how could the experts of the Falling Star Academy come here to wait for the students? They might not even know that our Changqing 2-Star Academy exists. Don't talk, Dean Yen Yuankai is coming out to speak. I heard that Dean Yen is already at the peak of true condensation 9th level, and is only a step away from advancing to the essence building realm. Ning Cheng had been listening to the discussions of the others. He deliberately paid attention to the 3 teachers of the Falling Star 5-Star Academy. Sitting in the middle was a middle-aged man wearing a gray robe. He was a little fat, and seemed to have a smile on his face. The man on his left had a very stiff face, without any expression. On his right was a rather graceful woman, dressed in a lotus-colored dress with gold embroidery, with her hair combed into a bun. Although she looked very demure, but Ning Cheng was able to sense a hostile aura emanating from her. What made Ning Cheng feel a little strange, was that he felt that this woman somewhat resembled Ji Luofei. Thinking of Ji Luofei, Ning Cheng was somewhat worried in his heart. He came here to see if Ji Luofei would participate in the selection. Otherwise, in such a big academy, if he were to look for Ji Luofei, he really would not be able to find her. When Dean Yen Yuankai came out to speak, the tens of thousands of people in the square, he immediately went silent. Ning Cheng had an impression of Yen Yuankai's name, but he had never seen him before. This was the first time he saw the dean of Changqing 2-Star Academy. He was dressed in a brown robe. Although he looked very spirited, he was clearly not young anymore. His hair had already turned white. Elites of the Changqing 2-Star Academy, everyone knows that today I am here to announce good news. That's right, the Hua Continent's Falling Star 5-Star Academy had come to my courtyard to select 10 students. These selected students would then enter the Falling Star Academy to continue cultivating more advanced cultivation methods and spells. Every student who was able to enter the Falling Star 5-Star Academy would have a promising future. I am very grateful to the seniors of the Falling Star 5-Star Academy for coming here 3 days in advance, so that the students of our academy can look forward to it. Yen Yuankai's words were overshadowed by a burst of warm applause. Ning Cheng also raised his hands and clapped a few times. He already understood what was going on in his heart. Normally, when the people from the Falling Star 5-Star Academy came to enroll students, the Changqing 2-Star Academy should have already sent their students and teachers to the scene. How could they still delay until now? So it was because they didn't play by the rules and arrived early. The Changqing Academy did not dare to let the people from the Falling Star Academy wait for too long, and hastily held the selection meeting in advance. After the applause stopped, Yen Yuankai once again said, "Now we invite Senior Wen Ji Lu from the Falling Star 5-Star Academy, to speak to us about the important points to pay attention to in the tryouts." The slightly fat gray-robed man who was sitting in the middle stood up, walked to the middle of the huge ring, and said with a smile, "Students of the Falling Star Academy, you should be the most talented group of people in the Changqing province, otherwise you would not be able to enter here. But in my Hua Continent's Falling Star 5-Star Academy, the requirements to enter here are 100 times higher. Now I represent the Falling Star 5-Star Academy in enrolling students, and give you a few simple conditions. First, the age must not be too old, we do not want too old. Second, if you don't have a main spiritual root or if your main spiritual root is muddy, we will not consider you. Third, if I don't find you pleasing to the eye, we will not consider you." This male cultivator called Wen Ji Lu said these few words with a smile, and no longer spoke. He retreated to his seat. The students of the Changqing 2-Star Academy were talking, but no one dared to stand up and speak. In the Changqing 2-Star Academy, even if the teachers found the students unpleasant to the eye, they would not say it out loud. But now, people bluntly said that they did not want those who were not pleasing to the eye. Even if your qualifications were heaven-defying, if people said that you were not pleasing to the eye, you would not be able to enter the Falling Star 5-Star Academy. Yan Yuankai was the dean of the Changqing 2-Star Academy, but he did not dare to refute Wen Jilu's words. He saw that Wen Jilu had already gone down, and quickly stood up again and said, "Now I will announce the selection rules. The academy will select 10 core students. Each student can accept 3 challenges. The students who challenge must be under the age of 20, have a main spiritual root, and have a chi gathering 3rd level or above. Whoever wins, will continue to stand here." Many of the students in the audience, after listening to these conditions, began to discuss. Even if the spiritual root was better, cultivating to the chi gathering 3rd level or above, there were very few who were under the age of 20. This condition almost eliminated 99% of the students. Ning Cheng was quick-witted, he immediately understood what was going on. The people from the Falling Star 5-Star Academy were obviously impatient to wait here, for them to come to the Changqing 2-Star Academy to select the students, because it was a necessary thing. Who would be impatient to wait here one by one? Even 10 days might not be enough time. Yan Yuankai acted as if he did not hear the noise below, and continued to announce, "The 10 core students are Qiu Yingguang, Gu Yiming, Jian Su Jia, Shuang Tianya, Yong Ying Rui, Ho Chuan, Yi Shaoxi, Zhong Yi, Yong Rui Li and Dan Xiang Ling." The 10 people were announced. It was not unexpected. These 10 people had always been the most powerful in the Changqing 2-Star Academy. The only controversial one was Yong Rui Li, who was at the Qi gathering 3rd level. But Yong Rui Li was the princess of the Changqing province. They believed that no one would dare to compete with her in the ring. Once they won, they would be selected, but once they lost, the people who went up to compete with Yong Rui Li would no longer be able to survive in the Changqing province. If among these 10 people, the only one who was born in poverty was Ho Chuan. Ho Chuan was born in poverty, moreover his parents died early, and now he was alone in the Changqing Academy. But Ho Chuan's qualifications were amazing. He was only 18 years old, and was already at the Qi gathering 5th level. Other than Qiu Yingguang of the Qiu clan, no one could compare to him. Because the selection was held in a hurry, the 10 people who were called hurriedly went up to the ring. Without much preparation, they stood behind the ring, ready to accept the challenge. Falling Star 5-Star Academies. When Ji Lu nodded, apparently he was very satisfied with the speed of the Changqing Academy's dean. The challenge will now begin. Changqing Academy's Yan Yuankai was very clear about Wen Jilu's thoughts. He knew that people did not want to stay in this broken place, the sooner they left the better. So he did not dare to talk too much nonsense. Lu Pingyun wants to challenge Zhong Yi. Yan Yuankai had just stepped down from the ring, when a tall boy jumped onto the ring. Ning Qing knew this person. It was Lu Pingyun who wanted to find trouble with him. He was also at the Qi gathering 4th level. He wanted to challenge Zhong Yi, who was also at the Qi gathering 4th level, but Zhong Yi's age was much younger than him. Zhong Yi was not tall, and seemed to be at the Qi gathering 4th level. He was selected as a core student. It should not be as simple as it looked on the surface. Wait. Just as Zhong Yi was about to step forward and accept the challenge, Falling Star 5-Star Academies Wen Jilu once again interjected. Saying that, he waved his hand, and a 10 feet high crystal pillar appeared in the corner of the ring. "You first go and test your spiritual root." Lu Pingyun obviously did not think that he would have to test his spiritual root. Fortunately, he was not a stranger to testing spiritual roots. At this time he had already stretched out his hand towards the bottom of the crystal pillar, and transferred some of his chi into it. A yellow light as thick as a thumb directly rose up along the crystal pillar, until it reached a height of 3 feet, before it stopped. Next to this yellow light that was as thick as a thumb, there were 2 muddy yellow lights, but these 2 lights were only less than 2 feet long. Lu Pingyun took his hand away. His expression was still somewhat proud. He had a main spiritual root. Moreover, his main spiritual root was not muddy yellow, but could be regarded as a pure yellow. However, before he could rejoice, he felt a powerful force slam into his body. In the next moment, he flew out of the arena like a kite with a broken string. At the same time, he landed heavily on the hard ground below the arena. A trivial 3 feet yellow spiritual root also wants to enter the Falling Star Academy. This is the first time. Next time who dares to waste time with this kind of spiritual root, it will not be a matter of a slap. When Ji Lu's cold voice resounded, there was no longer that kind of smile from before. Some of the people who wanted to go up, but had not yet gone up were shocked by this kind of sternness. For a time, no one dared to go up the ring again. Ning Cheng was also shocked, but he was different from these people, because he saw when Ji Lu casually throw out a 10 feet high testing instrument. But all he saw was when Ji Lu patting his waist. This was simply too magical. Was this the legendary Sumera space? Can you put in a huge thing? Not everyone was shocked by when Ji Lu, after a brief silence, another boy jumped onto the ring, and said in a clear voice, Jiang Tu challenges Yong Ruili. All the people including Ning Cheng were attracted by this Jiang Tu. He not only dared to challenge Wen Ji Lu, but also challenged Yong Ruili. Yong Ruili was the princess of the imperial family, although her cultivation was the lowest. But who would dare to challenge the princess of the Changqing province? Even if they won, they would not necessarily be able to escape, but if they won, they would be able to protect themselves, but if they lost, it would be equivalent to being completely destroyed. Not to mention their own lives, even their entire family would have to pay for it. Don't look, hurry up and come with me. A warm and soft hand grabbed Ning Cheng's hand, while a low voice came. Luo Fei. Ning Cheng was thinking about why Jiang Tu would challenge Yong Ruili, but he did not think that Ji Luo Fei had already found him. But Ji Luo Fei's hand was slightly trembling, apparently something had happened. Chapter 11. Now that the academy is selecting students, we have the opportunity to escape from the Changqing province. If we are a bit slower, I estimate that the academy would know that I killed Xian Yuan Kuei and Yongli Man. Ji Luofei whispered in a low voice that only Ning Cheng could hear, as she whispered in Ning Cheng's ear. Killed Xian Yuan Kuei and Yongli Man. Ning Cheng was surprised in his heart, but when he thought of these two names, he instantly understood. He did not know if Ji Luofei killed these two people for any other reason, but he was sure that Ji Luofei killing these two people had something to do with him. When he came to the Changqing province, the first time he went shopping, he almost died in the hands of Xian Yuan Kuei. Ji Luofei killing Xian Yuan Kuei was definitely to help him take revenge. As for Yongli Man, although Ning Cheng did not know her, but he knew that this surname definitely had something to do with the Changqing province's royal family. Not to mention that Changqing province's royal family, even if the matter of Ji Luofei killing Xian Yuan Kuei spread out, it would only lead to her death. Ji Luofei knew that if she was caught, it would only lead to death, but she still came back to find him. It was obvious that she was afraid that if she left, that Changqing province and the Xian clan would vent their anger on him. Thank you, Luofei. After Ning Cheng understood this, he immediately grasped Ji Luofei's hand and spoke with gratitude. He did not like Ji Luofei, but Ji Luofei helped him kill Xian Yuan Kuei, and even risked her life to warn him to escape. This kind of friendship, Ning Cheng was very grateful. He did not say thank you, because he believed that Ji Luofei would understand his meaning. Ji Luofei did not feel anything when she grabbed Ning Cheng's hand. Even when she carried Ning Cheng back home, she did not feel anything. Ning Cheng dying and coming back to life on her back, was not a surprise to her. Whether Ning Cheng was dead or alive, she would take Ning Cheng away from the entrance of the prison. For her, this was just a way to repay the kindness, not Ning Cheng's kindness, but Grandpa Ning's kindness. Before, when she sent Ning Cheng to the cultivation tower, it was only part of her gratitude. Even if she was about to leave the Changqing province, she was only worried about Ning Cheng, and did not have any other feelings. But now that Ning Cheng spoke those words from the bottom of his heart, it made Ji Luofei's heart tremble slightly. She could feel Ning Cheng's deep gratitude. Ning Cheng had changed. The previous Ning Cheng, even if she gave her life to him, she would only think that it was the right thing to do. However, the current Ning Cheng had completely subverted the original image of Ning Cheng in her heart. At this time when Ning Cheng grabbed her hand, she even felt her face turning a little hot. Ji Luofei's heart was still trembling, but Ning Cheng was much calmer than her. Instead, he pulled Ji Luofei's hand and spoke, "Don't be nervous, just follow me and listen to me." Looking at Ning Cheng as if nothing had happened, Ji Luofei's eyes turned red, as she obediently followed behind Ning Cheng. "Don't be nervous. Just follow me and listen to me." It was a simple sentence, but it made Ji Luofei feel a sense of reliance. Her cultivation was clearly higher than Ning Cheng, but she could feel Ning Cheng's protection. When the Ji family was destroyed, she was still young and was adopted by the Ning family. To put it nicely, she was the descendant of an old friend of the Ning family. To put it bluntly, she was just a child bride without any status. There was no difference between her and a servant. Although Grandpa Ning did not see her as an outsider, but the rest of the Ning family did not regard her as the daughter-in-law of the Ning family. At most, she was just a small servant. Even Ning Cheng only regarded her as a female servant, almost not even comparable to a female servant. Every time Ning Cheng saw her, his face would be filled with disgust. Ning Hongchang, as the Ning family's patriarch, could not always take care of Ji Luofei. From the time she could remember, she had to rely on herself, without anyone to rely on. There were even times when she did not eat, and had to listen to the instructions of the other servants in the Ning mansion. It was not until she grew older that she was sent to the Chongqing 2-star academy by Grandpa Ning, that the days of starvation slowly changed. Ning Cheng was obviously younger than her by a year, but Ning Cheng's simple words made her feel that Ning Cheng was incomparably tall at this time, and that she could rely on him. Only those who had never relied on someone would understand the preciousness of these words. Ning Cheng's image, at this moment, seemed to have reversed in her heart. Ning Cheng certainly did not think that much, although he knew that Ji Luofei was more familiar with the Chongqing Academy than he was, but he was very clear, on the ability to escape and deal with some critical situations, Ji Luofei was far inferior to him. Ji Luofei followed Ning Cheng through the crowd and arrived at the edge. Seeing Ning Cheng drilling into a row of giant trees, Ji Luofei immediately thought that Ning Cheng wanted to go out from the small door leading to the fighting pot. She wanted to remind Ning Cheng, today was the day of the Falling Star 5-star Academy's student selection. This small door leading to the fighting pot would certainly be sealed, it would be better to go directly through the main entrance. At this time, a team of 7 or 8 guards hurriedly trotted out, and suddenly appeared in front of the two of them. When this team of guards saw that Ning Cheng and Ji Luofei were heading towards the small door, they immediately stopped, and even seemed to have a tendency to come over. Ji Luofei's heart sank, she guessed that her matter had already been exposed, which was why the guards had come over. She made up her mind, even if she had to die, she would let Ning Cheng escape. Not waiting for Ji Luofei to speak, Ning Cheng suddenly spoke in a low voice, "What is the name of the academy's deputy dean?" "Yong Zhangyan." Ji Luofei subconsciously replied. Ning Cheng suddenly raised his voice slightly and said, "Why did you pick me to run the errands? Alas, we can only blame ourselves for being too close to the fighting ring, it's really a pity." After Ning Cheng said that it was a pity, he revealed a pleasantly surprised expression, and simultaneously sped up and ran towards the team of guards. When this team of guards saw Ning Cheng and Ji Luofei unexpectedly walk out at this time, they immediately stopped in their tracks. Originally they were going to ask Ning Cheng and Ji Luofei, but at this time when they saw Ning Cheng and Ji Luofei running towards them, they immediately stopped and did not move. "Several brother sergeants, please wait." The few people in front obviously stopped, but Ning Cheng still called out loudly. "What do you want?" The leader of the guards was a cultivator at the Qi gathering 3rd level. When he saw Ning Cheng calling him to wait, he forgot to ask where Ning Cheng was going. Ning Cheng took out a black wooden card and stuffed it into the leader of the guards and said, "It's really good to see you, several brother sergeants have really helped me a lot. I am the disciple of Old Mu. Dean Yong asked my master to send someone to mobilize a team of guards to the entrance of the cultivation tower, but my master actually asked the two of us to go there. But now it is the critical time for the Falling Star Academy to select their disciples. I really did not want to leave. I did not think that you would come over. You should quickly follow me to the entrance of the cultivation tower. Wait a minute, I will give you Dean Yong's handwritten decree. When the time comes, you can directly give it to Dean Yong. That won't do. We are going to the Shifeng sect and the South Wind sect. There is no way for us to help you. The leader of the guards looked at the wooden card in his hands, and immediately interrupted Ning Cheng's words, and said in a stern voice. Saying that, he once again stuffed the wooden card into Ning Cheng's hands. This wooden card was engraved with the words Cultivation Tower, but he could see that this wooden card was the real deal. After returning the wooden card to Ning Cheng, the leader of the guard sped up his pace with the few soldiers, and simply ignored Ning Cheng, who was still in the air holding the handwritten decree. Ning Cheng hurriedly followed behind and anxiously called out, "But I have the handwritten decree of the dean. No matter where I go, I will still carry out the orders. Why don't you go to the entrance of the cultivation tower and wait?" As he spoke, Ning Cheng was actually relieved in his heart. He was afraid that this guy would recognize that it was just a wooden card for cleaning the cultivation tower. You have the handwritten decree, we also have the handwritten decree. If all of you are as undisciplined as the students of the academy, then the Chongqing province's guards might as well just look for a few people. I think you should hurry up and go by yourself, don't even think about playing tricks. The leader of the guard said disdainfully as he walked. He looked down on Ning Cheng, this guy who had no concept of military discipline. While the two of them were talking, they finally arrived at the entrance to the bustling food market. As Ji Luofei expected, this small door was also guarded by two guards, but they were not the same middle-aged guard from before. Seeing the two guards guarding the small door, Ning Cheng's face showed a bit of discomfort as he said, "Open the door, I want to go out." When Ning Cheng and the previous captain were talking, the two guards had already heard it, they even knew what Ning Cheng wanted to do. Seeing Ning Cheng's unhappy expression, the two guards knew that Ning Cheng wanted to go and watch the Challenger League. Now that he was sent away, it would be strange if he was happy in his heart. One of the guards was about to speak, but Ning Cheng's face suddenly lit up as he cut off the guard who was about to speak. "This soldier brother, aren't you supposed to guard here? Two guards or one guard is the same, why don't you one of you stay here, the other one can help me out, and go." "I'm sorry, we have orders to guard here, we can't leave," the other guard simply said. Ning Cheng's face once again became gloomy, but this time it was only for a moment, and then he spoke in a pleasant tone, "Since you are guarding this door, you certainly do not allow anyone to go in or out, right?" "Yes." The bodyguard's reply was very straightforward. "Then if we want you to open the door, you certainly won't open it, right? For example, just a moment ago I told you to open the door, right?" Ning Cheng continued to ask, his expression was just like a big bad wolf guiding a little sheep. The guard who spoke was just about to say yes, but when he saw Ning Cheng's malicious smile, his heart suddenly thumped. This student certainly did not want to do anything, so he wanted to push the responsibility onto them for not opening the door. Unexpectedly there was such a bold student. But Chongqing Academy's students were not ordinary, for there to be such a bold student, the guard did not find it strange. "Very good, you did the right thing. Senior apprentice sister, let's go back first." Finished speaking, Ning Cheng pulled Ji Luofei, and was about to turn back. "Wait, let me see your token." After the guard understood Ning Cheng's insidiousness, he hurriedly called out to Ning Cheng who was about to turn back. He knew that Ning Cheng had a command token, as the guard captain had already seen it a moment ago. Ning Cheng's hand did not move. "Why should I show you the token? I told you to open the door, but you did not want to open it. This is your duty, I will not blame you, but why do you want to see my token? If I meet a soldier who wants to see my token, then I will directly hang the token on my chest. Let's go, Senior Apprentice Sister. Chapter 12. When the guard heard the last 3 words spoken by Ning Cheng, his complexion turned ugly. After hesitating for a moment, he opened the door and said, "The door is already open, if you want to go out then go, if you do not go out then I will close it again." As long as Ning Cheng dared to take a step back, he would immediately close the door. In any case, Ning Cheng wanted him to open the door, and he had already opened it. If Ning Cheng did not want to go out, then even if something happened, he would not be blamed. Ning Cheng helplessly turned around, fiercely stared at the 2 guards, and walked out of the small door behind the academy with some unhappiness. When Ning Cheng walked towards the group of guards, until he walked out of the small door, Ji Luofei's heart had been hanging in suspense. She did not think that Ning Cheng would dare to be so bold, holding a wooden sign used for cleaning and doing such a thing. Once they were discovered, then the 2 of them would die without a burial place. It was not because of the few guards, but as long as they clashed with those guards, they would not be able to leave. After going out of the small door, Ning Cheng did not rush to run, but stopped, and then pointed to the words, "fighting pot," and said, "Luofei, in the future, if my cultivation is successful, I will definitely destroy this fighting pot." Ji Luofei's adaptability was not as good as Ning Cheng's, but she was also a smart person. When Ning Cheng spoke about the fighting pot, she immediately understood. Ning Cheng knew about the matter of her fighting in the fighting pot, and immediately felt warm in his heart. "Let's go first, this is not a place to stay for long, I am not very familiar with the outside, Luofei, you lead the way." After Ning Cheng walked out of the Tsangqin Academy, he felt relaxed, and turned back to Ji Luofei with a smile. "Okay." Ji Luofei nodded, knowing that she could not hesitate at this time. She quickened her pace, and passed through the bustling market. In just a few minutes, she led Ning Cheng to an extremely remote path. Although they were running, Ji Luofei's heart was full of doubts. How could Ning Cheng become so calm? She hesitated for a long time, and decided to ask Ning Cheng. She had not yet opened her mouth, when Ning Cheng asked first, "Luofei, I have a question. There were nearly 100,000 people in the Grand Plaza, how did you find me?" There was one more sentence. Ning Cheng did not ask. He also wanted to ask, after he stayed in the cultivation tower, where did Ji Luofei go? Why hadn't they come looking for him? Ji Luofei hesitated for a moment, and was just about to answer, when she suddenly felt Ning Cheng abruptly pulling her away, followed by a white light shooting out from the place where she was standing. Ji Luofei's complexion immediately changed, as 2 men stood in front of her and Ning Cheng. Seeing these 2 male cultivators, one tall and one short, Ji Luofei's heart immediately sank. She knew about these 2 people. They were the 2 thugs of the Xian clan. Both of them had the cultivation of Qi gathering 6th level, with her Qi gathering 3rd level and Ning Cheng's Qi gathering 1st level. It was simply impossible for them to escape. "Hey, a small Qi gathering 1st level, but his reaction is so fast." The tall male cultivator, on seeing that Ning Cheng's reaction was even faster than Ji Luofei, gave out a startled cry. Ji Luofei at this time remembered that her reaction was not as fast as Ning Cheng's, but at this time, she was not in the mood to think about these things. Then she anxiously said, "Ning Cheng, hurry up and leave, I'll hold them off for a while. A mere Qi gathering 3rd level cultivator dares to say that he can hold us back. You want to leave after killing young Master Yuankue? Think about how you want to die in peace." The tall male cultivator said with disdain. After a brief panic, Ning Cheng calmed down, and said in a deep voice, "Luofei, you already know my qualifications. After you leave, remember to take revenge for me. I don't want to die without anyone to take revenge for me." The 2 cultivators of the Xian clan did not wait for Ning Cheng to finish speaking, and immediately started. Several wind edges completely blocked the path of Ning Cheng and Ji Luofei. At the same time, the 2 of them each took out an artifact, but did not attack. It was obvious that the 2 of them wanted to capture them alive. Ning Cheng had never fought with people before, but once he started fighting with them, he came to realize just how far apart he was from the Qi gathering 6th level. They were simply not on the same level. Not to mention letting Ji Luofei escape, even if he wanted to avoid those wind edges, it would be very difficult for him. 6 feet white golden spiritual root. Almost all the people behind the ring stood up. The gray-robed male cultivator from the Falling Star 5-Star Academy called when Ji Lu was even more excited. At this time, Jiang Tu was standing in front of the spiritual root detection artifact. His hand was placed on the detection artifact. The crystal pillar of the detection artifact was more than 6 feet, and was as thick as a child's arm. But beside the white light pillar, there was no small light, only at the bottom of the white light pillar was a golden circle. I did not think that the Tsang Qin Academy would have such a genius. Good, this trip was really not in vain. Right, what is your name? When Ji Lu excitedly walked up to the ring, and spoke to Jiang Tuesday, Jiang Tu very politely bowed and said, replying to Senior, this junior is Jiang Tuesday. Good. Jiang Tu, from now on you are a student of the Falling Star 5-Star Academy. You do not need to go up and fight. Who did you challenge a moment ago? When Ji Lu said a few words, and finally asked the person that Jiang Tu wanted to challenge. It was Yong Ruili, Jiang Tu honestly replied. When Ji Lu nodded, and directly said to Yong Ruili, you have been eliminated, you can go down. Yong Ruili's face was extremely ugly, but she had no choice but to bow, and dejectedly turned around and left the ring. She was very clear, even if she was the princess of the Tsangqin province, in front of this gray-robed person, she was nothing. Jiang Tu, are you willing to be my direct disciple? After when Ji Lu drove Yong Ruili down from the ring, he once again asked Jiang Tu in a pleasant manner. Jiang Tu hurriedly bowed again and replied, Jiang Tu greets master. When Ji Lu laughed, and directly took out a small leather bag and gave it to Jiang Tu and said, this is a greeting gift from master. Senior apprentice brother Wen, you are really generous, you are even willing to give out a storage bag now. After Jiang Tu returns to the academy, maybe there will be an academy elder who will accept him as a disciple. Another male cultivator from the Falling Star Academy with a stiff face said in an untimely manner. When Ji Lu did not mind at all, if you are envious, then I will directly say it, there are still many students here, you can look for them yourself, maybe you can also find a satisfactory disciple to take back. When Ji Lu's words were of course said proudly, obviously he did not expect that the Tsangqin Academy would produce another disciple with a pure spiritual root. However, the other two people from the Falling Star Academy really released their spiritual sense. They were all cultivators in the essence-building realm, and essence-building realm cultivators could already release their spiritual sense. The other male cultivator did not see anyone worthy of his attention, but the woman wearing the lotus-colored dress with gold thread suddenly stood up. Junior apprentice Sister Yao He, what's wrong? When Ji Lu and the other male cultivator in the essence-building realm were aware of the woman's unusual behavior, and quickly asked. This woman called Yao He coldly snorted, and unexpectedly directly brought out a cyan lotus-shaped artifact, and then jumped onto the artifact, and instantly flew away from the ring. Flight artifact. The students of the Tsangqin Academy suddenly became restless. In their view, a flight artifact was even rarer than a pure spiritual root. In the Tsangqin 2-Star Academy, there were only 2 flight artifacts. Usually, if the students wanted to go to the Don Forest or the Mingat Sea area to gain experience, they would have to sit in a beast carriage for a month. Ning Cheng pressed his blood-stained chest with one hand, and supported Ji Luofei with the other. His heart was ice cold. He knew that today he would not be able to survive, but he did not know if he would be able to return to Earth after he died. His younger sister could not find him during this time. She should be very anxious, right? Ning Cheng looked at the blue sky, and kept thinking about Roalan. Seeing Ning Cheng staring at the distant sky, Ji Luofei also knew that if she resisted, she would only be humiliated. At this moment, she forgot about the fate of being killed, and suddenly asked, Ning Cheng, before you said that you can't marry me, is it because I'm ugly? Ning Cheng turned around, and suddenly smiled. Luo Fei, you're not ugly. Because we are not people of the same world. There was also a sentence that Ning Cheng did not say. He preferred to be with Ji Luo Fei, but now he had some rejection towards beautiful women. Except for his younger sister Ruolan, any other beautiful woman had a heart as deep as the sea. You did not know when they would suddenly stab you, and without any reason. Even a gentle woman like Tian Mu Wan would find it difficult to avoid it, let alone others. Ji Luo Fei was silent. She did not know what Ning Cheng meant. They really were not people of the same world. She thought that Ning Cheng said that she would leave the Chongqing province in the future, so they were not people of the same world. What about now? We are all going to die. Ji Luo Fei's voice had just fallen, when a long whip swept towards them. She and Ning Cheng did not even have the ability to resist, they could only helplessly watch the long whip wrap around the two of them. Bang, bang, two muffled sounds resounded. The next moment, the chi-gathering 6th-level cultivator who had used the long whip to attack Ning Cheng and Ji Luo Fei, was sent flying by a huge force, smashing onto a nearby boulder, and suddenly spitting out a mouthful of blood. At the same time, the other chi-gathering 6th-level cultivator who had not attacked was also sent flying, smashing onto another boulder, and also spitting out a mouthful of blood. Senior. The two chi-gathering cultivators were seriously injured by the hands of this person, even their meridians were damaged. They were immediately horrified. At the same time, the two of them knew that this person's cultivation level was far higher than theirs. Ning Cheng and Ji Luo Fei slowly recovered, and saw a woman with a hostile aura standing in front of them. Ning Cheng immediately recognized who this woman was. It was the female teacher from the Falling Star 5-Star Academy who had come to the Chongqing Academy to recruit new disciples. But why did she suddenly appear here? Moreover, why did she come to their rescue? What is your name? This woman looked at Ji Luo Fei who was being supported by Ning Cheng and asked in a gentle voice. Ning Cheng was moved in his heart. He had felt that this woman and Ji Luo Fei were somewhat similar. Did she really have a relationship with Ji Luo Fei? Chapter 13. Yes, Auntie. Ji Luo Fei felt a surge of warmth in her heart. The sudden appearance of her auntie made her not feel as confused as before. Ji Luo Fei quickly said, "It shouldn't be. When I was very young, it seemed that there were always people who could not get along with the Ji clan. Grandfather's subordinates, gradually and inexplicably decreased, and finally one night, someone once again rushed to the Ji clan. I was disfigured that night, but Grandfather Ning arrived in time, and before Grandfather died, he took me away." When Gu Yiming heard this, he immediately panicked. If he did not go to the Falling Star 5-Star Academy, it would be impossible for him to reach such a high level. "You really are from the Ji clan?" The woman's voice trembled. This sentence was obviously not spoken in a questioning tone, but purely out of excitement. "What is your grandfather's name? What are your parents' names? How did you appear in the Ping Continent's Chongqing province?" After this woman killed the two chi-gathering 6th-level cultivators, it was as if nothing had happened, and continued to ask Ji Luo Fei. At the same time, a pill fell into Ji Luo Fei's mouth. Although Ning Cheng's injuries were not light, she acted as if she did not see it. "Junior apprentice Sister Yao He, this is?" When Ji Lu saw Ji Yao He bringing Ning Cheng and Ji Luo Fei over, and asked in a puzzled manner. Thinking till here, he simply cupped his fists and said, "Seniors of the Falling Star Academy, this junior is one of the top disciples of the Chongqing Academy. Going to the Falling Star Academy is this disciple's lifelong wish. This junior hopes that the seniors will be impartial." Although this auntie in front of him was not his blood relative, but they were of the same lineage. Ji Yao He's last sentence was also filled with concern for her. Perhaps it was the first person that she could rely on that left the deepest impression on her. Ning Cheng's words, "Just listen to me," made her remember it even more deeply. "Auntie." Ji Luo Fei looked at Ji Yao He with some disbelief. She really could not think of how she could suddenly have such a powerful aunt. it was simply a dream. At this time, the two Xian clan's Qi gathering 6th level cultivators climbed up, and called out in panic, "Senior." Ning Qing sucked in a mouthful of cold air, although he had never killed a person, but his courage had always been very big, and he rarely panicked when encountering something. But he was also shocked by the terrible means of this woman. She had just raised her hands with 2 black lights, and turned 2 cultivators at the Qi gathering 6th level into bones. Just how powerful was this? Was this the terror of the essence building realm? Luofei, was your appearance ruined by the Xian clan? When Ji Yao He spoke about exterminating the Xian family, her tone suddenly became cold and harsh. Hearing Ji Luofei's words, when Ji Lu frowned, and then looked at Ji Yao He and said, "Junior apprentice sister Yao He, if you find your niece and want to take her away, then it is still acceptable, we don't even need to test her spiritual root. But this kid, if his spirit root isn't anything special, I'm afraid it won't be possible to take him away. Grandpa Ji has already passed away." Ning Cheng had already figured out the cause of this matter, and spoke up for Ji Luofei from the side. At the same time, he also felt relieved. Ji Luofei had such a powerful aunt, presumably escaping from the Chongqing province would not be a problem. Is this a flight-type artifact? Ning Cheng asked in shock. He still had some understanding of artifacts. He had seen the Ning clan's inherited leather scroll, and knew that the cultivators of the I Xing mainland had magical artifacts, and there were many grades of magical artifacts. Artifacts were the most basic grades of magical artifacts. Above artifacts were precious artifacts, above precious artifacts were spiritual artifacts, and above spiritual artifacts were true artifacts. While Ji Luofei was speaking, the Lotus had once again arrived at the Chongqing Academy's challenge ring. Ning Cheng was suddenly speechless. Before his rebirth it was really like this. How could he explain it? The 10 seated players who were already standing on the stage heard these words, and suddenly felt their hearts skip a beat. Now the 10 of them understood, although they were seated players, but in fact, they had already been selected. Because the people from the Falling Star Academy were afraid of trouble, and simply did not want to waste their time in the challenge ring, it was estimated that they wanted to leave as soon as possible. Ji Yao He's eyes swept over the 10 people, and suddenly pointed at Gu Yiming and said, "You go down." As a cultivator in the essence building realm, when Ji Yao He said that Ji Luofei was her niece, she could clearly feel Gu Yiming's heart tremble. It was a kind of fear. Regardless of what this Gu Yiming was afraid of, it was not something she had to consider. She just pointed at Gu Yiming and asked him to leave the selected 10 people. Ji Luofei felt relieved in her heart. Her aunt seemed to be very powerful. Since she said that Ning Cheng would be safe, then he would definitely be safe. After the vice dean spoke a few words, he once again cupped his fists, and then sat down. He did not even mention Ning Cheng's spiritual roots. He was sure that if Ning Cheng wanted to go to the Falling Star Academy, then he would have to test his spiritual roots. Gu Yiming had not even finished his words, when he saw a shadow appear at his side, and then he felt a kick that sent him flying out. Ji Yao He indifferently said, "That's right, this is a high-grade flight artifact." Several seniors of the Falling Star Academy, this junior is the vice dean of the Chongqing Academy, Yong Changyan. This Ning Cheng, I also know him. Before he was the young master of the Ning clan, he beat and scolded Miss Luofei. Moreover, he completely treated Miss Luofei as a servant of the Ning clan. Ji Luofei had already recovered from the shock, and quickly replied, "He is Ning Cheng. My grandfather and grandfather Ning are good friends. After my grandfather passed away, he entrusted me to the Ning clan." Seeing Ji Luofei in a daze, Ji Yao He immediately said, "Luofei, you quickly take me to see your grandfather." Now that she said that she wanted to eliminate one more person, it was obvious that she was just randomly calling out one of them. No one was willing to go down. Only a fool would give up the opportunity to cultivate in a 5-star academy. This woman's eyes turned red. She could not help but hug Ji Luofei and said, "Luofei, I am your aunt Ji Yao He. If I tell you to get out, then get out. Why are you talking so much nonsense?" Gu Yiming, who was in the air, heard Wen Qi's slightly cold voice. This was the decision of the Falling Star Academy. No one dared to stand up and speak any nonsense. Even if the king of the Chongqing province was sitting here, or even the dean of the Chongqing Academy was sitting here, they would also not dare to stand up and refute. Aunt, Grandpa Ning adopted me. The Ning clan now only has Ning Cheng. He is staying in the Chongqing province. Ji Luofei had not finished her words. When Ji Yao he understood, she immediately said, "Don't worry, I will keep him safe." Ning Cheng's heart sank. He was not as simple as Ji Luofei. Ji Yao he only said that she would take him away, but Ji Yao he said that she would keep him safe. There was some difference in the middle. It was best that he was thinking too much. This junior is Ji Luofei. Ji Luofei also felt that this woman in front of her had some kind of relationship with her. If not for her disfigurement, perhaps this feeling would have been even more obvious. Ning Cheng looked at the building under the lotus flower. He was somewhat excited in his heart. These were all things that only existed in legends, and he had unexpectedly encountered them. Not to mention that he could cultivate here. Maybe one day, he would really be able to fly in the air. There was no power, there was no mechanical structure, it was completely dependent on an unexplainable artifact to fly. When Ji Lu did not speak much, the male cultivator with a stiff face said, "Since junior apprentice Sister Yao he has found your niece, and wants to take her away, then among the 10 people here, the next one will have to go." Ning Cheng and Ji Luofei on the side could only hear two puff-puff sounds. The two chi-gathering 6th level cultivators were simply not prepared, and directly turned into two dry bones. The flesh on the bodies of the two people, under the bombardment of the black light, disappeared without a trace in just a few breaths' time. Courting death. Seeing that Ning Cheng was unable to explain, Ji Yao he immediately knew that what Yong Zhang Yen said was true, and waved her hand to attack Ning Cheng. "Come on up." Ji Yao he once again waved the lotus-shaped flight artifact, and said to Ning Cheng and Ji Luofei, "Who are you?" Ji Yao he suddenly remembered Ning Cheng. Before she saw that Ning Cheng and Ji Luofei's relationship was not ordinary, she did not have the time to ask, but now she remembered to ask. "Aunt, there is also Ning Cheng." Ji Luofei at this time knew that even if her aunt was a teacher of the Falling Star Academy, to casually follow her aunt, it was not a simple matter. Therefore, she quickly spoke out about Ning Cheng. She had already reacted. Before her aunt only said that she would guarantee that Ning Cheng would be alright, but did not say anything about taking Ning Cheng away. Ji Yao he pointed to Ji Luofei and said, "This is my niece Ji Luofei. In the past she followed my 4th uncle to the Chongqing province, now she is alone. I want to take her back to the Hua continent." Ji Yao he's complexion immediately turned cold. She stared at Ning Cheng and coldly said, "Boy, is that so? Daring to order Luofei around like a maid, do you not want to live? Daring to injure the people of my Ji clan, you are simply courting death." This woman's excited mood did not have a place to vent. The two unlucky people of the Xian clan once again spoke. It suddenly made her remember why Ji Luofei was so seriously injured. In a twinkling of an eye, two black rays of light shot out. Ji Yao he understood Ji Luofei's mood, and spoke in a soft voice, "Luofei, when I was taken away from the Yuan continent's Ji clan to the Hua continent, I had just started to remember, your grandfather should be my 4th uncle. A few years ago when I returned to the Yuan continent, the Ji clan had already perished. I looked everywhere, but could not find a single person from the Ji clan. My 4th uncle came to the Ping continent. He should have escaped from the disaster that befell the Ji clan. Luofei, from now on you will go to the Hua continent with your aunt. You will no longer be chased by people." Ji Yao he also frowned, but she did not have the time to speak. When a man sitting next to the dean of the Chongqing Academy stood up, this man's face was brown, just like a piece of rusty iron, extremely ugly to look at. Ji Luofei quickly replied, "My grandfather is called Ji Yuaning, my father is called Ji Xianzhang, and my mother is called Xiong Qihua. When my grandfather brought me to the Chongqing province, my grandfather said that something had happened to my parents in the Dawn Forest." Ji Luofei's answer was very simple. She did not say anything about her relationship with Ning Cheng, nor did she say that Ning Cheng's grandfather had passed away. She had not yet accepted this sudden appearance of her aunt from the bottom of her heart. It was really bizarre. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.